Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the Ann Campea YouTube channel, and it's finally here. The Infinity War all open spoiler discussion. I know and things are going wrong already off camera. I'll tell you about it in a second. You know, guys, one of the big rules in life, they say, if you want to have a good life, is you should never work with your spouse. Well, apparently I've already broken that rule, because joining me today for this Infinity War discussion is Ann Campea.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
I'm so glad you could do this with me today, Ann.
I feel like it's also a part of us being married, that if I don't do it,
our marriage is over.
We cannot be married.
No more marriage if you don't do it. Ann has seen the film a few times already. You've seen how many times?
3.
3 times. I have also seen it 3 times, but we didn't see it all 3 times with each other. We saw it together at the premiere, and then we saw it together at 11:30 the other night, which is way too late. And then you saw a special screening with Hasbro. Yeah,
I saw a work screening, and then you took my tickets to Thursday opening night and went with my brother.
Yes, I went with Ray. All right, guys, so here's what all today is going to be. We're just talking about Avengers Infinity War. Look, you guys, the questions and comments are already ramping up, so we're just going to dive right into it. I cannot believe how many questions are already in there, so we might move through this pretty quickly. We're going to do this for at least 2 hours, so we're going till at least 4 o'clock. We'll get through as many questions as we can. Hey, guys, so glad you're here. We're finally going to talk about Avengers Infinity War. All right. Let's get things kicked off with this. Curtis Lopez writes, I frickin' love Infinity War, seen it twice, and I'm sure it is my absolute favorite of the MCU. This movie worked on almost every level for me. I love the film. It's not in my top 3, but when you consider there's 19 MCU films, that's still really, really good. Like, I loved it a lot. Like, where would you say, Ann? Like, would you say it's in your top 3, top 4, top 5? Where would
Thor are still very much up in my top 3. Winter Soldier is up there, and then I think this might take the 3rd spot.
Yeah, for me, I think, in no particular order for me, I gotta go, like, Avengers is gonna be up there, Civil War is gonna be up there, maybe Winter Soldier, maybe Black Panther, which I loved, but I mean, it's definitely in my top 5 for sure. Okay, let's go on here. Next one comes to us from Anthony R., who writes, I live in New York City and saw Infinity War at 2:30 a.m. Thursday at my very first Dolby Cinema AMC at Times Square. What an experience. And yeah, we've become, I still remember the first time Ann and I went to the Dolby AMC Prime Theater. Spoil us, like forever. I love the ArcLight Cinema here in Hollywood. There's a bunch of movie theaters I really like, but I still think that AMC Prime is my favorite experience. Would you say that too?
Yeah, I agree. I think, well, okay, so here's the thing. I feel like we were so behind the times that we never had assigned seating to begin with. And then when we discovered the Dolby Theater, it was like, wow, this is luxurious. But I will say my favorite theater is this theater in Hong Kong that I sat in that had 16 seats.
Oh, that's right.
It's a presidential Oval Office suite. It's an AMC theater, but the only thing that it trumps over, you know, a Dolby is that the fact that they have actual waiters coming in with free food, free concessions the entire time of the movie. They give you a blanket. They get you really cozy. So there's just a little bit more that they offer at that theater.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Johnny Eppard writes, whose death affected you the most? Spidey for me. Spider-Man's was great, but we'll get more into this, I'm sure, later. But you know it's a fake death. Oh, look, Marvel doing more fake deaths. Because you know there's going to be another Black Panther. And we already know there's another Spider-Man coming. So that's why Spidey's death did not affect me nearly as much. Because, oh, fake death, because we know Spider-Man's coming back. I think the one that got me the most was Gamora. I mean, Loki would have, but I knew, like we've been talking for months, that we knew Loki was going to die in the first 10 minutes of the film. Sure enough, he dies in the first 10 minutes of the film. So I was fully expecting it. Gamora's, I mean, I didn't really see it coming per se. And there was so much emotional attachment to it. So I think Gamora was the one for me. What about you, honey?
I think you stole my answer. I think Zoe Saldana acted her ass off in this movie. Her and Thanos, just the relationship there, they really solidified it in this movie. And so when she died, it hurt me to see that, because they loved each other, yet they hated each other. And then he killed her.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting because when you think she kills Thanos, she breaks down.
Yeah.
Like she weeps.
Yeah.
So like that was really tough and interesting at the same time. So yeah, I'm going to say because of that, I mean, look, if it wasn't for the fact that it's yet another fake death from Marvel, I would have said Spider-Man's. But since I already know there's another Spider-Man movie coming, it kind of mitigated that. But still a great scene. And the way Tom Holland played that was great. Okay, let's see. Anthony R. writes, that Thor entrance was epic. And he is now my second favorite Avenger. He has lost so much, and it has made him truly grow as a character. Okay, look, I think a lot of people are going to say the favorite scene with Thor is when he shows up on Earth in a crack of thunder and lightning and starts kicking ass. To me, it's that scene when Rocket is talking to him and he's going through the laundry list of everything and everyone he's lost. And he's trying to smile while he's doing it, but breaking down at the same time. To me, that might be my favorite single Thor moment out of any of the MCU films. And it was a quiet, emotional moment rather than the big kick-ass action one. But you can't take anything away from that big kick-ass entrance. What about you, Hannah? What was your favorite Thor moment in the movie?
Well, I thought he was talking about when we just see Thor smack into the windshield of the Guardian's ship. But, I mean, it was pretty badass when he entered the universe with Stormbreaker. That was, I think, epic. That's a poster. Like, I want that on my wall. But you're right. I think that the movie does a really good job about kind of plugging in those dramatic scenes, and in particular Chris Hemsworth and his interaction with the CG character was great. I saw the emotion.
Yeah, it worked really well. All right, next one. Curtis Lopez writes, so they did CGI out the Infinity Stones in the trailer. No, they didn't. Here's the interesting thing. That shot, first of all, there are a number of shots in the trailers that were never in the movie, including that one in Wakanda of Hulk running along with everybody. That was not in the movie. Anyway, that shot where you're looking over Thanos' shoulder and you can see the Infinity Gauntlet with two stones and Steve holding it like that, not in the movie. That scene is in the movie, but that specific shot, not in the movie at all. So that was just something they threw in there entirely. So it wasn't like that was a shot from the movie and then they CG'd out the stones. That shot was never in the movie and they just included it in the trailer to be a little bit of a misdirect. Did you notice anything other big in the trailer, honey, that wasn't in the movie itself?
Not amongst the things that you highlight. I think the Hulk one was obvious because that also ended up on some posters, I thought. But I think what was interesting is, you know, at the premiere when the Russo brothers said we had to do all these things to make sure that people didn't know what was actually going to happen in the film. In particular, like having to change up the trailer, but also giving people fake scripts or like different scripts. So I think it was absolutely necessary in this case because there were just a ton of things that happened that you just didn't want people to know about.
All right, next one comes to us from Tom Grokut, who writes, that Thor scene. Thor definitely beats Hulk in a fight. I don't think so. I still don't think so. Hulk, and I think they are setting up Hulk for a big, magnificent return in Avengers 4. Hulk, for the first time in his life, loses a fight. And clearly he did better against Thanos than Thor did in that, because Thor clearly got his ass just handed to him in the first fight. Thor had Thanos against the ropes. Thanos with an Infinity Stone. Hulk had him against the ropes for a minute, but then Thanos comes out, uses some of his mixed martial arts, his boxing skills, comes out there, puts the Hulk down. But remember, theoretically, there is no limit to Hulk's strength. Theoretically, there's no limit to it. He gets as strong as he can get angry. And the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. It is going to be interesting to see if we get to see Hulk and Thor round 3. It is going to be interesting to see if we see that. But yeah, with Stormbreaker, clearly in role-playing games terms, Thor has leveled up. So I don't know if you think Hulk now and Thor had a fight, who wins?
See, that's the thing. Is like, okay, so number one, it's like an epic battle between Rocky and like Drago or something. This battle that they've been having. But I think the thing is like Thor without Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
Doesn't beat the Hulk. I don't think.
With Stormbreaker, it's questionable.
With Stormbreaker, it's questionable. I think that, like you said, I think that gives him the one up. But I would still give it to Hulk, I think.
All right. Well, guys, we got to go faster through these questions because you guys have sent in so many questions. Okay. Hector Jenner writes, there are now 4 trilogies in the MCU, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and Avengers. Can you rank them from favorite to least favorite? That's kind of simple for me.
Good Lord.
Captain America is actually my favorite. When you're talking about First Avenger, which I think is a tragically underrated, I think the First Avenger is the second most underrated MCU film. The most underrated, I think, is the original Thor. But you got First Avenger, then you got Winter Soldier, who to a lot of people is the best MCU movie. Then you got Civil War, who to a lot of other people is the best MCU movie. So I'm going to go Captain America trilogy, Avengers trilogy, Thor trilogy, and then Iron Man down there at the bottom. Although I like the Iron Man trilogy, comes in last. How would you rank them?
Oh man, I think I was just going to say Thor, even though I didn't really like the second Thor, to be honest with you guys. But I feel like in every trilogy, I felt like there was one weak movie. So I can't say one was just like solidifies that it's number one for me. But because I love Thor, I will go with Thor.
All right. Let's see here now. The next one comes to us from Caleb Bradford, who writes, how do you think Infinity War will affect Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Will some of those characters disintegrate too? What about the Netflix shows? Well, first of all, I think it's important to point out who the fuck cares about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? But on top of that, there was this week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode. There was just one little reference. These two characters meet each other in an alley, and just out of nowhere, just one kind of says to the other, hey, how about all that weird stuff going on in New York? And that's it. And then they just move on with the show. I don't know if they're going to show any of them disintegrate. They'll probably take like their season finale before they get too far into it. I don't think so. As far as the Netflix shows, I think exactly the same thing's going to happen in the Netflix shows moving forward that they did with the first Avengers. Regarding the first Avengers, in the Netflix Marvel Universe, they just refer to it as the incident. That's it. I have a feeling it's going to be the same kind of thing. There'll be some reference to it, but mostly ignored, just like the rest of the MCU is on top of that. All right, let's just move on to the next one here quick. Caleb, that was Caleb Bradford, sorry. Jedi Lori writes, I like him, Thanos to Gamora, about Peter Quill.
Yes.
I like that line. I thought that was great.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was awesome. I thought, we were talking about it the other night, Thanos is kind of a great dad at the same time. I hate to admit it, but there's scenes where he is really caring after Gamora. He tries to give her food. He thought she was hungry. He holds her back.
Off a cliff.
I mean, before he throws her off a cliff, you know, like he does have a little bit of daddy in him, and it was funny to hear him say that to Peter.
I thought it was a great line. And I like the way he said too, I like him. Yeah. And then backs up and talking about, that's the first daughter's boyfriend he had a chance to meet.
I know.
It's because I don't think Nebula brought many guys home. Okay, Dakota Barber writes, love this movie. The opening introducing Thanos was great. It was shocked that he killed Heimdall. Loki death was rough. He beat Hulk's ass so hard too. Yeah, I mean, look, the introduction of Thanos, they came out swinging with Thanos. They needed to. They needed to establish right away this Thanos dude is for real. And what better way than wiping out half of Asgard, killing Heimdall, killing Loki, beating Thor's ass, and apparently killing Thor a second, just bitching Thor, like carrying around by his head. So they really came out swinging with that, and they absolutely had to. Johnny Eppard writes, over under 20% that Tony tells Aunt May about Peter in Avengers 4. Under, because I believe Avengers 4 is going to pick up a year or 2 or 3 later. I don't think Avengers 4 picks up right where the Avengers Infinity War leaves off. I believe some time passes. So I'm going to take the under on 20%. What do you think, Ann?
Wait, so you think some time passes and people are still not back to life?
Yeah, no, I think life just moves on. I think like he kills half the population of the Earth and life just goes on. And now we're like a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years into this new reality with the Earth's half population. But the question was, over under 20% that Tony tells Aunt May about Peter in Avengers 4.
The thing is I think, and I think this might be in the comics, when he wipes them out, they're supposed to just not remember these people existed, right? But I think in the movie, they do remember that these people existed.
Yeah, I think they do.
Okay, so my question is Aunt May one of the people that disappeared or not?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I mean, if she's alive,
I didn't even think about that.
Does he tell her? Yes, I think he does, but is she even alive? I don't know.
Yeah, clearly they do remember because, I mean, at the end, okay, so everybody's been wiped out, and Captain America's sitting there, oh God, like, and mourning. We see Tony mourning on Titan, so I think that happens. Let's see here. Adam Douglas writes, really entertaining, felt like only Thanos, Thor, Gamora, Vision, and Scarlet Witch had a complete third act arc. Avengers 4 will have to complete the rest. Well, I mean, that's the thing. When you get a movie that's so overcrowded with so many people, look, my one criticism of the film has been, still is, too much going on, partially as a result of too many characters. When you have 28, literally 28 main level characters, it's impossible not to. and that is one of the weaknesses. But let me throw this out there too. There are still some people, let me tell you this definitively right now. This was not half a movie. This was a full, complete movie. 3 acts, beginning, middle, and end. The only reason there are some people out there saying, well, that was only half a movie. No, it wasn't. It was everything a full movie is. The only difference is the bad guy won.
I agree with you.
That's it. The movie ends, if reverse the roles. If the Avengers weren't the Avengers, but they were just some kind of intergalactic villainous organization, and Thanos was a hero, and Thanos saves the universe, because remember, in his mind he did, and the movie ends with the good guy sitting there looking out at the sunset and smiling. He saved the world. Complete movie. There is no way in any definition that this is only part of a movie or only part 1 of 2. This was a full, complete movie. The only difference between this and every other superhero movie that's just the exact same way is the fact that the bad guy won. That's it. And now we're going to go into a completely different movie in Avengers 4 that, of course, it's going to be connected to Avengers 3, but Avengers 3 was connected to Age of Ultron, and Age of Ultron was connected to the first Avengers, and all that's connected to Civil War, and Civil War was connected to Winter Soldier. I mean, every single movie in the MCU is a progressive next chapter of the overall MCU story. Avengers 4 will be no different, but make no mistake, Avengers 3 was a full, complete movie, and I've even forgotten now what Adam was even talking about. Oh yeah, about the fact that only Thor, Gamora, Vision, Scarlet Witch. And you know, about Vision and Scarlet Witch, my one other little criticism, but again, this all just goes back to the fact of too many characters. They never showed us them falling in love. They never, I never felt the relationship. When you get so many characters like this, they have to revert to, well, just tell them. And so we have a couple of scenes of them just talking, saying, look, we're clearly an item now. This works. We're in a relationship. And instead of making it organically happen like they would have in any other movie, the fact that they have so many characters, so little screen time, all that kind of stuff, they just have to say, hey, audience, Vision and Scarlet Witch hooked up and they really like each other. Okay, got it? Okay, now we'll move on. Whereas in a lot of other movies, they wouldn't do that. Did you think any other characters had a really good, full, kind of story arc of themselves?
No, but I also think the characters that he highlighted are all the... In my opinion, okay, all the characters are important, but I think those characters in particular are key to the ones that can actually beat Thanos. Like, those all have a hand in being some of the stronger characters to be able to defeat him. So I think it was important to highlight those 4 or 5 that he said. But the relationship thing didn't bother me. I feel like they set it up enough in the last movie that you knew they were going to get together, that I don't think I needed any more than that.
So Avengers 4, Scarlet Witch gets her sex bot back. That's going to be the title. You heard it here first. That's the name of the movie. Hector Jetta writes, Dom Toretto easily could have taken care of Thanos' glove. Oh, he could, look, first of all, if Dominic Toretto had been in this movie, Thanos never even gets the Infinity Stones. I mean, let's just put that out there right there. Like, Vin Diesel shows up. He shows up on Thor's Asgardian ship. How does he get there? He launched his Camaro through a big space ramp. He lands on there. Just as Thanos is about to kill Heimdall, Vin Diesel shows up and goes, family. And then he kicks Thanos' ass, and the movie's done right there. Okay, Murray for Us writes, why did the original Avengers survive the snap, besides for some new? By the way, the theater I was in went nuts when Black Panther was one of the victims of it. Well, I mean, first of all, we don't know if Hawkeye survived it. Hawkeye is one of the original Avengers. We don't know that he survived it. So Scarlet Witch did. Oh, hey, if you want to talk about one of the original Avengers, Nick Fury. And he's the one who brought the whole Avengers thing together. He died as well. So we don't know if Hawkeye's alive. Nick Fury, we know, didn't make it. Cap and Iron Man make it. Black Widow makes it.
Groot, or not Groot.
Hulk.
Rabbit. What's his
well,
name?
He's not one of the original Avengers.
Oh, original. Okay.
Yeah. Hulk.
Yep.
Hulk made it. Yeah. So it was an interesting mix. But again, when Black Panther disappeared, first of all, when Winter Soldier disappeared, I'm like, oh my God. And then when Black Panther comes around to grab Okoye's hand and goes, we're not dying today, I thought Okoye was going to disappear. When Black Panther disappeared, then it was like, oh, Marvel's fake deaths again. Because Black Panther ain't staying dead. And then, of course, Spider-Man, when they've already announced Spider-Man's next movie. So
that's why I kind of feel like they should have mixed it up a little bit more. Like, I like this question only because we talked about this too the other day, was like, why didn't they pick some of the main ones? Because we all know that they're all going to come back at some point. So why not just choose Iron Man or somebody to disappear?
I guess because they have a story purpose for Iron Man and Avengers 4, clearly, and Captain America. I mean, and you can say, look, Black Panther just broke all these records. He is a main character in the MCU now, right? Spider-Man is clearly a main character in the MCU, but you have the original OGs, most of them survive, other than maybe Hawkeye and definitely Nick Fury didn't make it. But yeah, I mean, lots of questions. But again, fake test. And by the way, let me ask this. What happened to Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers saying last year, oh yeah, none of that. Now, when somebody dies, they stay dead. Remember that? What happened to that? Are you telling me Spider-Man's not... Are they canceling Spider-Man Homecoming 2 now? I don't think so. So yeah, that goes right out the window. Okay, let's see. Anthony R. writes, it was the Loki death that I was spoiled on. Well, yeah, but we all knew that was coming. But it was obvious to me. Also, Red Skull was the best kept secret. Not even Forbes spoiled that one. I think Forbes did. You can ask Ann. That was the moment to me when we were at the premiere, when Red Skull, that's the moment that my literal jaw dropped. You're like, and I even turned, you remember that? I even turned to you. I'm like, I mean, now it wasn't Hugo Weaving. They didn't get him back, but damn, it looked like Hugo Weaving in that stuff. What was like what was the big jaw drop for you in the movie? Like, out of all the big jaw drops, which one was the one for you?
God, I think they almost got me with Tony getting stabbed in the gut.
Oh my God, the theater?
Yeah.
First of all, the premiere, yes. But then when we saw it on opening night at AMC,
yep,
when Tony gets stabbed, the screeching. Like, ah, no! Like you hear people like yelling. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think, and I also didn't know Peter Dinklage was in the movie. So when he showed up, I was like, oh, there he is. And he's a giant. That's cool.
I knew Peter Dinklage was in the movie, but I thought he was just doing the voices of one of the Black Order. So like, there's a whole ton of theories that were out there that I thought would happen. Some of them did, some of them didn't. There were a whole ton of theories that I said would never happen. Most of them didn't, but a couple of the ones did. One of the theories was, do you think Peter Dinklage could be the dwarf that makes Stormbreaker? And I said, no, no, he's going to be one of the voices of the Black Order. And sure enough, he shows up as the dwarf, which is poetic. Okay, Mary writes, felt like there was a few conversations missing, but understand why. Example, Tony asking about magic. No one seemed freaked by the raccoon where Hulk went. The thing about the raccoon, first of all, Thor appears in a, what's the name of the bridge called? The Bifrost. Mm-hmm. Thor shows up in the Bifrost, the god of thunder. Okay, he's got a talking raccoon and a tree creature with him, but that ain't the weirdest thing they've ever seen already. I mean, they already had their planet invaded by alien races before, so I think they were a little bit less. But you're right. I think if this movie had a little bit more time, maybe instead of just Captain America nonchalantly saying, oh, you are Groot, I am Captain America, I'm Steve Rogers. It's a talking, walking tree. It's an Ent out of Lord of the Rings, and everybody just kind of takes it in stride, but they had no time to do it any other way.
It's true.
All right, Hector Jetter writes, do you think Doctor Strange did something to the Time Stone before he gave it to Thanos? I don't think so. I don't think he has the power to do anything to an Infinity Stone. But I think it all ties back to what he was saying when he did the time loops. He said, I looked at 14 million different outcomes of this, and only one do we win. Clearly, in the one outcome he saw that they won, it involved him giving the Time Stone to Thanos. Because then he says to Tony, we're in the end game now. It had to be this way. I think his last words to Tony was, it had to be this way. So I think Strange, and obviously Doctor Strange isn't dead, another fake death, but Strange knew that's the way he had to do it. But I don't know, what do you think? Do you think they could have, maybe he put some kind of hex or something on the Time Stone?
No, I don't think so. I think Thanos wouldn't have been able to execute the plan if there was some sort of spell on it. But I do think that Doctor Strange used it to his advantage before he knew he had to let it go. So that's good. He knows the plan. He knows the plan.
He knows the outcome. So he said, this is the way it's got to be. Murray Frost writes, I wonder if the Defenders were affected by the snap. I don't think we're going to see anything affected. I really don't. They keep it pretty separate. There'll be some reference to it, I'm sure, just like the incident from the first Avengers movie, but I don't see anything else beyond that. Dakota Barber writes, really love the interactions between Gamora and Thanos. That whole scene when they went to look for the Soul Stone and he kills Gamora, very emotional. One of my favorite moments in the movie. So emotional. And there's this shot after Gamora hits the ground. There's a mid shot of Thanos framed up, and it's kind of pulling back a little bit, and the disbelief and the pain and anguish on Thanos' face, it's a CGI character, folks, was remarkable. And that was one of my absolute favorite scenes of the movie. What about you, baby?
Yeah, I loved all the interactions between father and daughter. I think, like I said, Zoe Saldana just killed it in this movie. And that scene that you mentioned earlier where right after she thought she killed Thanos for the first time and she just broke down, that was it. I mean, she's the strongest woman, and she had a heart for her father, who was kind of an asshole, but, you know.
Kind of.
A murderer,
Mass
whatever.
genocide across the way. Kind of an asshole. Let's see. MJ writes, watched Infinity War twice. It's time to seriously ask the question, is Disney/MCU just that good? Or is everyone else just that bad? MCU makes it look easy. And you know what? I talked about that on the open mic show a little bit earlier today. It's that the MCU is making it look easy, and it's not easy. The thing is, we take for granted how hard it is to make one of these movies good. It's nearly impossible. It's not that the DCU sucks. No, the DCU, they're putting effort in, energy in, they're trying to do their best. But the thing is that MCU is just making it look easy. And that might be one of the bad things about all this, is that people are starting to believe that, oh, it's just simple to make a good comp. It's just simple, see? Marvel does it all the time. It's easy. It's not easy. What Kevin Feige has done cannot adequately be put into words. The grand Herculean nature of what he has accomplished here is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And Infinity War is just kind of the next example of that. Hector Jetta writes, I found it funny that Marvel did a reference to aliens. Obviously, this was done before James Cameron's comments on Avengers fatigue. No, that wouldn't have done anything. Kevin Feige, clearly didn't bother Kevin Feige because he responded to it. So he didn't bother him at all. I don't think it would have had anything to do with anything. And it was the right reference because they blew Gamora out into space, right? And killed him that way. So that works. Did you get the aliens reference when it happened?
You guys are going to kill me. I've never seen aliens before. Sorry.
You've never seen the original Aliens?
No.
How did I not know this? What else don't I know?
I probably have not seen a lot of movies that you love, to be honest.
Now I'm questioning everything. Okay. Murray for Us. Murray for Us writes, you said last week Infinity War is a self-contained film. How? Well, as I mentioned already right at the top, it's not how, is it? There is no way that it isn't. It has the full, complete 3-act structure. It has its beginning, it has its middle, and it has its end. The only way a bunch of people out there can't wrap their heads around it is because it's the bad guy that wins. But sorry, that's how this one ended. The bad guy won. Now, of course, there's going to be a next chapter of the MCU, just like there's a next chapter after every MCU movie, and something else is going to come later. But this was you cannot win this argument. This is a self-contained movie. And there's going to be a next chapter, for sure. But absolutely, again, if you just switch the good guy, bad guy roles, and Thanos was the hero of the movie, which in his own head he was, and it ends with him saving the universe, which in his head is what he did, sitting down, looking at the sunset and smiling, realized he accomplished his mission, and the screen goes black. Complete movie, done. Just a bunch of people can't wrap their heads around that because it's not the heroes that win. If the hero didn't win, it's not a finished movie. It absolutely is a finished movie. Now, there'll be a next chapter. That'll affect the events of this one, but that's the same of every MCU movie so far. Behruz writes, where'd it go? Big fan, already saw it twice, and Thanos got me thinking. Did he ever have hair? And did you see how Josh Brolin was 27th in credits after The Collector? I didn't notice the order in which the credits were done. He's the main character in the film, for sure. And he did a brilliant job. Josh Brolin, full credit to him, man. This is his summer. Avengers Infinity War. He's Cable in Deadpool 2, and then he's in Sicario 2. This is the summer of James Brolin. Anne,
Yes.
you ever picture Thanos with hair?
I cannot. I cannot. Has anyone ever seen, is he in the comics with hair? I don't think I've ever seen that.
If he were to have hair, what hair would he have?
He would have James Brolin's hair. Or Josh Brolin. I'm sorry, not James Brolin.
I seem kind of having that semi-skin fade going up the side. One of those things. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Caleb Bradford, who writes, Mr. Stark, I don't want to go. That broke my heart. Spider-Man's death was easily the saddest. Again, it's mitigated for me because you know it's another fake death in the MCU. You know he's coming back. However, the way Tom Holland, and credit to Robert Downey Jr. as well in the scene, but really Tom Holland, the way he played that. And I heard some people complaining about it online going, what kind of hero is this where he's whimpering like a baby dying? He's a kid. He's a kid, and yeah, well, he's faced death before. Yeah, he's faced death before, but there was always something he could do about it because he's Spider-Man. He's got the powers of the gods. So there's something he could do about it. Yes, he's at risk of dying, but in that moment in the movie, he's just fading away, and it doesn't matter how much, web slinging he does, doesn't matter how fast he is, doesn't matter how strong he is, doesn't matter what stupid Iron Man Jr. suit that he slaps on him. There's nothing he can do about it, and he's dying. And he's a kid. Despite the fact that it's mitigated by the fact that it's another Marvel fake death and I know he's coming back, even still, because of the way Tom Holland portrayed that scene, it hits you. What was your reaction like the first time it played?
Oh, yeah. I was in tears, I'm pretty sure, at the premiere. I think all the deaths hit me. And the thing is like, yes, I get it that we all know that a lot of them are coming back because they have other movies to do, blah, blah, blah. But just think about it in the context of if you were trying to defeat this villain, and then all of a sudden half of the people that you were fighting with are gone. I mean, it's still really emotional. Yeah. And then the fact that he not only says, I don't want to go, but he says, I'm sorry. Yeah. Means that it really weighed heavy on him mentally as well. The fact that they didn't win. Yeah. And he apologizes.
And I want to say, Peter, it wasn't your fault. It was Star-Lord's fault.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. But I'm sure we'll go into that another time later. All right, Curtis Lopez follows up. What I love most about Thanos is that he isn't hateful. He has a sense of honor to him and has charisma. He does horrendous things because he thinks it's best for the universe. We've been talking a lot about that the best villains are the ones that think they're the good guys. But not just feel like, we see a lot of villains that feel like they're the good guys in the sense that they're justified. Their cause is just. Thanos goes beyond that. Thanos thinks he's not just doing I'm justified in being the ruler of the world. I'm justified in having that $1 billion. He thinks he's saving all of life. He thinks he's saving everybody by killing almost everybody. And when you got a villain like that, it brings more than his greed and a thirst for power. It brings conviction. And that's what makes him throw Gamora off the cliff. If he thought he was just going to get 1 billion space credits or whatever it is Rocket calls them, he probably wouldn't have killed Gamora for 1 billion space credits. Thinking I'm saving all life in the universe? There you go, Gamora. I mean, that was the thing. What was it about Thanos that really stood out to you the most?
I think just to piggyback on what you're saying is the fact that what sets him apart from other villains, too, is the fact that he has actually experienced what he's talking about, right? So he's seen it.
He's had to go through it with his own planet.
He's had to go through it. He's seen it happen with his own planet. He's seen it actually be successful, this plan be successful with another planet. So in his mind, yes, of course, this is what is going to save humanity. This is what is going to save the universe. He saw it happen on Gamora's planet, is it? The fact that their lives have been fruitful ever since they wiped out 50% of them. But I think that's what makes his conviction and his will even stronger is the fact that he's lived through both failure and success of this plan.
All right, and we move on now. Andrew Garfield writes, love the two smartass Tony and Quill interact. The two smartasses, yes, their interactions were quite good. That scene in the trailer is, okay, your plan is good, but it sucks, or something like that.
Yes.
So maybe I should plan it, and maybe it'll work. I mean, that was great. But also when they show up and they're fighting each other on Ma's ship, and they both think they're fighting for Thanos, and they realize they're fighting against Thanos and all that stuff. I like their interaction a lot. All right, Anthony R. writes, Thor and Doctor Strange were the MVPs for me in this film. Best team up was Thor, Groot, and Rocket. I'm so happy with this film. Yeah, I mean, we were talking a lot, even the other night when you, me, Ray, and Ryan came out of it. It's like, Doctor Strange kicked serious ass in this film. Like, Thanos was trying to throw his best at Strange, and Strange was blocking, defending it, and it would have been interesting just seeing the two. I mean, look, Thor did well against him. Hulk had his moments against him. But Strange really, he dealt some good shots. But it reminds me of that great line from Thanos, all that for a drop of blood. But
I know.
Yeah, we're really impressed that Doctor Strange and Thor really stood out as MVPs. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think I wasn't a fan. I mean, okay, so I like Doctor Strange, but he wasn't in my top 3 favorite heroes of all of them. But then in this movie, holy crap! He was so good. I just from the beginning when he kind of puts the shield up and then he winks at Tony like, I got you. Just to set the tone for the rest of the movie. He was a badass in this movie.
By the way, one of my favorite action shots of the movie is when they're in the streets of New York and Ma sends all those brick spikes at them, and then him and Wong working together. They basically playing a live action game of Portal. He opens the window, Wong opens the other one, they shoots back at him. And that was a great shot. I love that. That was great. AFC writes, Maw has to be in the top 5 MCU villains. Voldemort. He is kind of Voldemort, I guess.
He's my favorite.
He was wonderful. And seriously, I don't know if you're joking around, AFC, but I'm going to tell you what. He is one of the top 5 best MCU villains. It's not saying a lot, but I would put him up there with, I mean, Thanos is head and shoulders above everybody, but you got, in the top 5, I think you'll have Thanos, in no particular order, but Thanos is the top. Thanos, Killmonger, Loki, maybe Michael Keaton in Homecoming as Vulture. And I think you got to put Maw up there. He was great. I loved every moment. He was on screen, the way he would talk, the way he would move, always very dignified. One hand behind his back and so powerful at the same time. What did you think of Maw?
I just wish we had more screen time. I think he was one of the first to die out of that group. I wish he lasted till that end battle, but then I don't think they would have the Avengers would have been able to beat him at that point. But he was really cool. I liked him a lot.
Loved him. Loved the way he talked. Loved the way he moved. He was great. Hector Jetta writes, so excited for the return of Red Skull. Is it possible for him to be in the 4th movie and possibly bring back Gamora from the dead? I don't think he has that kind of power. I don't think he has the power to resurrect the dead. Ray, Ann's brother, he basically said it best, and I agree with him in this. I think everybody who died in Infinity War prior to the finger snap is dead. I think Vision's dead. I think Gamora's dead. I think Loki's dead. I think Heimdall's dead. I think they're all gone. And then everybody who died as a result of the finger snap, I think they're all coming back. But I don't think Red Skull... But, now that the Soul Stone has been taken, Red Skull has no reason to stay on that planet, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do not believe he has the power to bring back the dead. I don't think he has that power, so I don't think we're going to see that. Mary writes, like the theme of sacrifice in the film, everyone had a tough call. Really cemented the feel of hopelessness. You're right. Everybody at some point faced tough calls. Whether it was Quill trying to decide whether or not to shoot Gamora, which ultimately it wasn't his choice anyway, because Thanos was just going to make it a bubble gun anyway. Whether it was, Doctor Strange deciding to hand over the stone, whether it was Loki deciding to hand over the stone, whether it was, everybody at some point faced a tough decision, and that's one of the big things too. Out of all the characters who had to face some big tough decision,
God,
what do you think was the biggest one?
I mean, Thor stands out only because he basically lost whatever was left to him, his brother and his best friend.
Right.
It's pretty big. Gosh, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe... Probably Peter. Trying to decide to kill Gamora. I think that was the biggest choice. I think he had the toughest one he had to face at that point. But Doctor Strange giving up the stone was also a pretty big one, too.
Scarlet also having to
to kill Vision. You're right. The film is peppered with these types of big, tough decision moments. Dakota Barber writes, Red Skull being the keeper of the Soul Stone blew my mind. How emotional was the last 15 minutes, though? You should have aimed for the head. Yeah, you should have aimed for the head. It's he could have killed. Then again, he did throw it from a half.
He should have aimed for the thumb.
He should have aimed for the thumb. Just no problem.
He can't even snap without a thumb.
Just aim for the wrist. Stormbreaker could have taken his wrist off. But here's the thing. No one's talking about this. after the snap.
Yep.
And he has that vision of Gamora.
I know what you're going to say.
Comes back. The gauntlet is wrecked.
Yeah.
It's like that destroying half the life in the universe, I guess, took so much power.
And his arm was all bruised up, too.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I just noticed that the glove itself was all torn up. Now, clearly, the glove still works because he immediately created a vortex for himself to teleport out of there. But it'd be interesting to see can the glove even be used anymore? Like, as we go forward into Avengers 4, and Thanos will clearly be around for that, does he still have the full might of the gauntlet, or is the gauntlet now kind of crippled a little bit?
God, I don't think so. I don't think he can use it anymore. I think that's part of the reason why they emphasized it at the end. But the other thing that crossed my mind during that scene, I'll just bring it up really quick, is the fact that I know Thanos didn't have a choice, but Stormbreaker, he left there with Thor. He could have easily taken it in his chest through the portal so that he had the powerful weapon with him.
But that might have saved his life. Like getting the thing out of him, getting that big god weapon out of him might have saved his life.
No, but he literally just left the weapon.
Yeah. But then again, Thor, no matter where he went, Thor could have just reached out his hand, and wherever Stormbreaker is in the galaxy, it's going to come flying back to him. So there's that too. All right, let's see. Murray Frost writes, the only people to defeat Thanos right now, maybe Sam and Dean, because they've survived 13 seasons.
Yeah.
Sam and Dean Winchester, they've taken on the devil. Okay, they've beaten the devil and the Archangel Michael and all that kind of stuff. So you're damn right. Get Dominic Toretto, Sam and Dean Winchester, you're set. You got a team to fight Thanos. Dom's Vibranium Bicep writes, why didn't the Avengers just call me to solve the troublemaker Thanos? See, Dom, we've been talking about that all show. They should have made, forget the deal with Sony. They should have made a deal with Universal, get Dominic Toretto, cross the Fast and Furious and Avengers universes, no problem. Bob's Najar writes, who do you think deserves to kill Thanos the most? And who do you think will? I think Nebula deserves, but Cap will. Look, there are some players on the field here who have legit narrative purpose to kill Thanos. I think you got to start with Thor. I mean, Thor's the one you have to start with. Thanos literally killed his people, half of his people. By the way, when Thor says he killed half of Asgard, what must have happened is before the movie starts, half of the ship was able to get away. Like half, there was escape pods or something. Maybe that's where Valkyrie was. Maybe that's where Korg is. But Thor does say he killed half of Asgard. That means the other half must have gotten away. So there's that. But he has a big thing, and he came the closest to killing him at the end. Iron Man, you can make a study like Iron Man was talking all movie about. Thanos has been in my head, tormenting me for years. Captain America, because he's Captain America. Scarlet Witch is gone, so it's not going to be her. And by the way, let's not discount the possibility that nobody kills Thanos. Maybe at the end, Thanos just goes away to his own corner of the galaxy. I mean, maybe he lives, who knows, and can come back again in Phase 8 or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. Adam Douglas writes, Hulk running with the heroes at Wakanda was all over the marketing. Why? I get when trailers have scenes that get cut, but this was made just for them. Well, it wasn't. Remember, it's not just that the Hulk was in it. That shot was never in the movie at all, like with or without the Hulk. So I think that was one of the big misdirects. That was clearly never something that was in the movie and they changed their mind. That was a shot that was specifically created for the marketing to create some misdirect. And it worked. I thought Hulk was going to show up. Like when I can't remember the name of the Black Order, the giant dude, the Hulk-like one. When he's fighting him in the Hulk armor and he's about to destroy him, and you got Bruce in there going, okay, buddy, I know you like waiting for the last second. This is it. This is the last second. And we're all like, yes, Hulk's about to come out. And he doesn't. Shocked all of us. How surprised were you? Were you not that surprised that Hulk never showed up?
No, I wasn't surprised. I think, I don't know. I kind of liked the struggle that they had. And to be honest, like we had Hulk for an entire movie, right? Almost in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I liked what they did with it, to be honest with you. I feel like it would have been an unfair fight if Hulk did come out in the movie.
Yeah, and I think they're setting it up. Look, Hulk for the first time in his life just got beat. It's the first time he's ever been beaten, and he was beaten badly by Thanos. And that has broken something in him. So I think they're setting something up. I think we are going to see, for the first time, the full rage of Hulk when we get to Avengers 4. I have a feeling that entrance that Thor made in this movie on Earth, I think that's going to get outshined by Hulk making his return to a level of rage we've never seen him at, and to the full, like, we're going to see the Hulk that in the comic books, all the heroes of the world had to decide you are just too dangerous to be on this planet, and they sent him off to Sakaar. I think we're going to see that Hulk. And I'm very excited about it. Curtis Lopez writes, I wish M'Baku and Shuri had more time to shine. Yeah, but honestly, look, every single character other than Thanos was a little bit underused. They were all underused. You had 28 key characters. Nobody was going to get enough time to really, truly shine. They each had their moment. Like even in M'Baku, we got to see him in battle, just slaughtering those monsters, going, ah, like doing his M'Baku thing. I love M'Baku. We got to see Shuri being the smartest person in the MCU. Like she's talking to Bruce Banner. It's like, why didn't you guys, like you, Bruce, and Tony Stark, supposedly two of the smartest people in the MCU, why didn't you guys just do this? Like, you idiots. Like, they really made her shine that way, but you're right, they didn't give her much time. Like, I was hoping to see more of Shuri and M'Baku. Like, was there anybody else you were kind of hoping to see more time with?
God. You know what? I didn't feel that way. I felt like we just got a whole movie with them, and they gave them as much time as they could. That's true, we just saw them like 2 months ago when they were in film. Yeah. I mean, I love both characters, but they gave them as much time as they could, in relation to all the 50,000 other characters. But I can't think of any right now.
Okay, Adamus95 writes, you know that scene where they severed that guy's arm off by closing a portal on it? Yep. Why didn't Doctor Strange do that to Thanos to get the gauntlet? I don't know that you can use it that way. I think it was just bad timing. And maybe he wouldn't have even been able to work. Like maybe Thanos with the reality and the space stone, something like that on him just wouldn't have worked. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of, you might just have to accept this because of the Infinity Gauntlet and the different powers that he had at the time. But good thought, good thought. MJ writes, Doctor Strange, key to Avengers 4, says he'll protect his stone over Tony and Peter, sees the 1 out of 15 million chances to win, trades the stone in exchange for Tony's life. Final words to Tony, there was no other way. See, here's the thing. I don't know that Doctor Strange is going to be a key player because he's dead, he's gone. But I think he saw in that vision, that 1 out of 14.3 million opportunities, that he had to be gone, and that the only way for everything to be set right was for Tony to survive and for him to hand over the stone. Because of that, we're not going to see Doctor Strange in Avengers 4, or at least not until the end, when everybody that died comes back. But I don't know. Do you think there's a way they bring Doctor Strange back early, or do you think he just comes back at the end like I do?
Oh man. I don't know. I think he comes back when everybody else does, whether that's the end of the movie or the beginning of the next. I don't know. But I also wish that he had a chance to write down everything on a piece of paper before he went to dust.
Wait a second, I just got one more thing to do.
Yeah, hold on. Let me write the whole plan.
Okay, next up, Curtis Lopez writes, it's funny how walking out of the first Avengers, it felt coming back from a rock concert. At the end of this, felt like coming back from a funeral.
Yeah.
It's true. You know, it's funny because I remember being at the first press screening for the first Avengers movie. And you were with me when we saw it. It was at the El Capitan Theater.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out of the theater and I was shaking. Like I was just like it's just, I was looking around and the whole theater was just buzzing. And everybody coming out was like, what did we just see? Like everybody was just floored by what it was we just saw. And you're right, coming out of Infinity War, everybody looks like deer in headlights. Like actually, Ann and I were just walking by the AMC 16 the other day as a bunch of showings are coming out and people were walking out like just kind of like in a bit of a stunned mode, you know what I mean?
Hey, but if Thanos is your favorite character, then this is the best movie ever
all
for
time.
you. Yes.
All time. Okay, AFC writes, my main issue on the first watch was that the jumps from group to group. Found it hard to remember where we left off. Second watch, that issues went away for me. Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, any movie that gets a little bit too convoluted, the more you watch it, the easier it gets because you know where it's going. But that has been one of my criticisms, is that it jumps back and forth between so many different scenarios. It's like, okay, now what's going on here again? What's going on? And it didn't have a real good flow to it in that sense. But again, that's just one of the necessary things they had to do in order to accomplish everything that they wanted to do. It was a drawback, but something that they just had to do. Anthony R. writes, Who do you think is the next villain in Avengers 4? It can't just be Thanos again. Also, will other Black Order members show up like Supergiant and Coven? I don't know. I mean, you can probably guess that maybe there are more children of Thanos, but why can't it be Thanos? Why not? He's the best villain we've ever had. And they never beat him. So there's still that. You know, it's not like, oh, ho-hum, they beat that villain once already. Nah, they never beat this villain. And you know, it's also going to be interesting to see how much of the next... I have a feeling a lot of Avengers 4 may not have anything to do with Thanos. That there's going to be, I think, Tony and Bruce and maybe Shuri, if she's still alive, come up with a plan on how they can reset time without the time stone. And I got a feeling that maybe Thanos doesn't play nearly as big of a role in the next one. But I don't know. Where do you think they're going to go with it, honey?
God, I mean, you got me thinking about even just the tone of the movie. You know, what tone is Avengers 4 going to take? Because we got, you know, a really comedic movie in Thor Ragnarok. We got this one that was really dramatic and tragic. I don't know. I really don't. How do you figure out who the next villain is going to be when Thanos is kind of the biggest one of all of them?
A lot of people think Skrulls could come involved because we're going to get the Captain. The movie immediately preceding Avengers 4 is going to be Captain Marvel. Of course, there's the post-credit scene. A lot of people had no idea. What's with the beeper? I mean, like, so a lot of people don't understand that. But I'm sure we're going to get a little bit more insight with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Some people saying, hey, at the end of Ant-Man and Wasp, do you think one of them disappears? Like, do you think one of them smokes? Maybe. It's possible. We've seen pictures of Ant-Man on the Avengers 4 set. I can't remember seeing pictures of Wasp on the Avengers 4 set. So maybe Wasp ends up dusting. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay. Degoto1 writes, has your opinion changed after seeing it 3 times? The second time I saw it, I liked it a little bit more. And I already had a great time with it the first time. The second time I saw it, liked it even a little bit more. Third time, hasn't changed. I think I've now settled in on what my final kind of feeling on the film is. So it changed a little bit from the first screening to the second screening. Honey, you've seen it 3 times. What about for you?
Same. I feel the same. I think the first screening, there was just a lot to take in. And obviously you're super stressed out because you have no idea what's going to happen. At least in the second one, you can kind of settle in a little bit, knowing what's going to happen, and then really just embrace all of the extra details that you pick up. So the second viewing was much better.
Alex DZ writes, best MCU film in my opinion. Spider-Man brought me to tears with his death. You satisfied with the Soul Stone origin? I was with Red Skull. I was with the Red Skull cameo. Keep up the great work. Yeah, I was totally. Look, I really didn't care. We talked about this in the shows in the weeks leading up to the show. I didn't care where the Soul Stone was. They have a plan for it. We're gonna find it. Nobody's gonna guess it. So let's just leave that alone. Who cares? Great introduction for the Soul Stone. Huge price had to be paid by Thanos to get it. So that was great. And again, yes, Tom Holland's death scene, fabulous, even though we know it's a fake death, but still fabulous. And I loved the Red Skull cameo. Absolutely loved it. Made a lot of sense to me. What about you, honey? Like, did all that work for you? Because I remember I looked at you totally stunned and shocked when Red Skull showed up. Did that work for you? Did some of those, like, did you care about where the Soul Stone was going in? Like, where was your thoughts on all that?
I didn't know that it was a question where the Soul Stone was. I mean, I didn't know where any of the stones were really. I knew some of them, but I thought it worked well. I thought that the fact that she kept it a secret, and that played into the fact that, you know, she wanted to keep that away from her father. Yeah, Red Skull, I've never really was invested in that villain. So when he showed up, I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, I know people were questioning whether he died or not. So that's great that they threw him in this scene.
Yeah, I never thought he died. I was so happy to see him back. Kind of bummed it wasn't Hugo Weaving, but we all knew Hugo Weaving didn't want to come back anyway. Daniel Briggs writes, so much brilliance, yet 4 words stole the movie for me. I am Steve Rogers. Couldn't stop laughing. It was a great moment. And it's not just the word, it's how he says, I am Steve Rogers. Like, he's talking like...
So cute.
It was great.
Yeah.
And I love that shot, too. Like, as that shot's going on, teenage Groot is doing what Groot did in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, shooting out his arms, skewering all his enemies. Like, we forget just how powerful and strong Groot is. who else can sever his own arm to become the handle for Stormbreaker? That's Groot's arm. That is the handle for Stormbreaker. Again, Groot dies.
I know.
This is the second Groot to die.
He didn't sacrifice himself this time, though. This was just like, he
no,
had
but
no
he
idea.
died. I didn't want them to kill
Stop
Groot.
doing. And then when he comes back, is he still teenage Groot, or is he
Or is
a
it baby
sapling
Groot
again?
Is there another sapling? Do we have yet another Groot? Okay, let's move on. Curtis Lopez writes, I'm guessing all of Asgard is dead, huh? No, remember, Thor said, while he's talking to Rocket, that Thanos killed half of Asgard. Half of Asgard. That is what Thanos does. Thanos isn't about extinction. Thanos is about killing off half the populations so that life can continue. So he says half of Asgard, which the only option that leaves, because all of Asgard was on that ship. So it only leaves one, and then the ship blows up. So the only explanation is that before the movie starts, an escape vessel, an escape raft got off with half of the people on it. And that's why we didn't see Valkyrie. That's why we didn't see Korg. That's why we didn't see Meek. So I have a feeling that half of Asgard did survive, because that is exactly what Thor said, that half of them did live. Otherwise, what was the point of Thor Ragnarok? The whole point of Thor Ragnarok was saving Asgard. Yay, we saved Asgard! And in the first minute of the next movie, kill all of Asgard. That would have been so frustrating. Dakota Barber writes, the ending made me very emotional and shocked. The way they used silence in that last few minutes was powerful. Also loved Thor and Cap in the movie. Oh, I loved Cap. That moment when he steps out of the shadows and it's Captain America, and the first thing he does is when the Black Order girl throws that mighty spear, that's nothing to Captain America. Boom, just catches it. Goes, bitch! And he throws it. You think he's throwing it at her? He's not. He's throwing it to Black Widow so she can start going to school on this girl. I just loved him. And then he's going toe-to-toe with Thanos. Captain America by himself, going toe-to-toe with Thanos. Then, when Vision's about to get killed, Captain America comes in there by himself, going toe-to-toe with that dude again. I love Captain America so much. That's why he's my favorite character in the MCU. But yeah, the emotionality of the final moments was heavy. It was done very, very well. How did you think the emotionality of that the dusting scene? Did you feel the emotion in it? Like, besides Peter's scene, did you feel like the rest of it worked?
Oh, absolutely. And to her point, the silence is what gets you, right?
Yeah.
It's because they allow you to just be alone in your silence as you watch these characters experience those emotions. And there would be no soundtrack for that scene. It has to be quiet.
Yeah.
It
to
does.
really fully get the grasp of what's going on there.
It's tragic.
Let's see. Bob's writes, will some of the Defenders disappear? This is why they should be separate universes. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see any repercussions at all.
They should just use this as it's Marvel's subtle way of laying off people from every show. Yeah, so technically your character disappears because of of Thanos, so you're not coming into work anymore.
Thanos made my character disappear? Well, think of it as Thanos made your job disappear. So that's kind of how that all played out.
Well, the Runaways too, right? Runaways is part of the universe, right?
No, it's not. No, there was never any indication that Runaways was in any way connected to the MCU.
Oh, okay. So
there's
they're
never any
also alive.
reference to other heroes or anything like that. Plus, it's on a totally separate network and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think there's any connection there. Dirk Walker writes, ending would have been better if Thanos' homeworld never died out completely. He was just exiled. At the end, he goes home and thousands of other Titans, realize he was right and see him as a savior. I disagree, because like what Ann was saying, a part of the conviction of Thanos comes from the fact that his homeworld died as a result of him not doing what he felt he needed to do. So if you say that the homeworld didn't actually die, it takes away some of that motivation. Like you were pointing that out, Ann, a little bit earlier. Right? Like that's part of the reason you feel the connection from him, right?
Yeah, agreed. I think it accumulated from that as well as the experience with Gamora's planet. So I think they did it right. I mean, maybe in the comics it makes sense, but I don't think so in the film.
Okay, AFC writes, where is Korg and Meek? Did all of Asgard die? Again, I think since all of Asgard got on the ship at the end of Thor Ragnarok, and we see the ship blow up, and we hear Thor say he killed half of Asgard, half the Asgardians, that has to mean there was an escape raft afterwards. I'm going to assume Korg, Meek, and Valkyrie were on that ship. That, Hulk, Loki, who was with Thor, And Heimdall stayed behind to try to fight off Thanos and the Black Order, but the rest of them got away. So I think they're all alive. We're going to see them again. Otherwise, they would have shown their bodies. I think they would have shown... Korg's body is just CGI, so they could have just showed that, right?
Yeah. Someone needs to Photoshop Korg in the place of the Hulk in that fake trailer scene.
Running behind Captain America?
Because he wants to battle, right?
Yep.
Like...
Hey, it's a new revolution. You want to join us? Anthony R. writes, Loki and Gamora are probably permanently dead, but Vision is probably getting rebuilt from a backup program Tony had. Over under 50%. Well, you know what, Anthony? That's a really good loophole. Again, it would be yet another fake Marvel death.
But it also, didn't Vision actually come to be Vision through time on his own? I mean, yes, he's a creation of Tony Stark from the beginning, but even Tony said he's evolving, like even without me anymore, without any of my technology, he's just evolving on his own. So yes, they can recreate him, but is he going to be the same Vision that we're used to seeing? I don't know.
I mean, what Anthony's suggesting is there's a backup, that maybe Vision backs himself up like Google Drive every night. Vision backs himself up. I mean, I don't know. But you're right. Bruce points out, Vision is more than just a stone. He's Ultron, and he's Jarvis, and he's me, and he's Tony, and he's the stone. And he's all of these things, and he was evolving. If there's a backup, I don't know. But look, you can make the excuse, like Ray said, that everybody who dies pre-dusting is dead. Everybody who dies as a result of the dusting, that's going to get fixed later. But if you bring Vision back, it's yet again the one, and everybody knows how much I love the MCU. I adore the MCU. But the fake deaths have driven me crazy. And if you bring Vision back now, I'm always going to love and watch the MCU movies, but I'm never going to care. I'm never going to give two squats of piss if another Avengers character ever dies, because I'm never going to believe they're dead. There's no stakes. There's stakes if they don't die, but there's no stakes if you keep pretending to kill them but really bring them back every single time. That's what destroys stakes. And if they wanted the Vision alive later, they just shouldn't have killed him this time around. I don't know how you get around it, but you should have just never had him killed this time around. But anyway, that's just kind of how I feel about it. But as far as to answer your question, over under 50%, I'll take over 50%. I think they do bring him back, because that's what Marvel does. Over under 50% that Vision comes back.
Gosh, I kind of also feel like they need him, and I hope they don't. But yeah, over 50%. All
right. Murray for Us writes, theories to where Valkyrie, Ant-Man, and Hawkeye are. Well, the movie explained where Hawkeye and Ant-Man are. They were at home. They're in house arrest. They're at home. And that's where we're going to pick up with the Ant-Man movie. So that was already explained. Valkyrie, I believe she's on some kind of escape ship with the rest of half of Asgard. Mary writes, am I in the right spot? Yes, I am. Mary writes, Scarlet Witch held back Thanos with 5 stones while destroying another. She is powerful and as powerful as fuck, and glad they showed it. Yeah, one of my favorite moments in the movie was when she shows up, takes the giant, Black Order lawnmower that was causing them so many problems and wiped it out. And then Okoye looks at Scarlet Witch and goes, why has she been up there? That was one of the best moments of the movie. And like Anne, Ray was actually saying, it's like, they really need to show, I remember going into the movie, Ray was saying they need to show how powerful Scarlet Witch is. Yeah. Because she is, like Mary's saying, she's powerful as fuck, and they showed it in this movie.
But there's something really special about her in the fact that she hasn't shown how powerful she is, though, in the fact that, like, she doesn't feel like she needs to exert her power. She just wants to live a normal life. So I kind of respect that about the character. But I think now that Vision is dead, oh yeah, and if she comes back, yeah, she's gonna take revenge on whoever did that.
She is so powerful. She made her accent disappear. That's how powerful Scarlet. Did anybody else notice that? Like in the first movie, the missile was from Star. She's got this strong, heavy accent, and then all of a sudden, this one, it's like she's from New Jersey.
Because she doesn't have her brother to speak to anymore.
Come Come on.
Practice the accent.
How long has your mom been in America?
Well.
How long has your mom been in America? Come on. Your mom's been in America a long time. And I still can't understand half the things she says half the time.
Sure.
I mean, it's just, it doesn't disappear like that. But Scarlet, there you go. That's a t-shirt I got to make. Scarlet Witch, so powerful, she made her accent disappear.
Real quick, and the fact that Star-Lord developed an accent in that one scene was really funny,
that was funny, too. Did you just deepen your voice? No. That was great. Intense insecurity writes, what happened to Hulk? Thanos made him scared. By the way, that is one of my favorite things in this movie. The fact that they did go to that level that, guess what? Hulk has now issues. Mm-hmm. Hulk never had issues.
Poor Hulk.
Hulk is the strongest. Hulk smash. That's it. His worldview was very simple. Hulk smash. Something gets in Hulk's way, Hulk smashes through it. And it didn't work. Hulk got smashed. And what happens to an all-powerful being like Hulk when he ain't all-powerful anymore? And he retreats like a child. He retreats. And I just love the fact that he didn't just not come out. We got to see his face a couple of times going, no! And I thought that was great. I love that they did that. And again, I think they're setting up for something here in Avengers 4 where Hulk makes his return and it will be cinematic history. Like, I think Hulk's return is going to be cinematic history. What did you think about the whole Hulk thing and refusing to come out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I said it earlier. I think it was great. I thought it was perfect. I think he got his ass beat, like really badly beat. If that was a UFC fight, that guy would be in the hospital because he hit him with the knee and then he smashed him and Thanos smashed Hulk into the ground. So that was a bad beat.
Yeah, it was a bad beat.
I would be scared too because that's Hulk also is a living being. That's my life. And if I'm going to get killed, I don't want to come out.
And he has never felt vulnerable before.
Yeah.
He has never even considered that he was vulnerable before. So I thought that was really interesting. Hector Jetto writes, who will now be king of Wakanda? I think one of two things are going to happen. I think we're going to come back and Shuri is the queen of Wakanda or the queen mother assumes the throne. Mm-hmm. If Wakanda allows queens. I mean, I just don't know what the politics of Wakanda are. I don't know if a woman can sit on the throne. I just don't know. But I have a feeling it might be Shuri.
Yeah, that would be nice. I would love to see Shuri.
Or M'Baku.
Or some sort of agreement, right? Because I think at that point, T'Challa has the respect of all of the leaders. So maybe there's some sort of agreement with the council.
But, I mean, M'Baku, because M'Baku was the last guy to challenge for the throne, other than Killmonger, who's dead. And he is the leader of the Jambori tribe. And him and T'Challa were incredibly close by the end there. Mm-hmm. You know what? I changed my mind. I think when we come back, and we come back to Wakanda again, I think we're going to see M'Baku is king of Wakanda. I think. Yeah. Either that or Shuri. But Shuri's a scientist. She's not a leader per se. Know. So she wants to be in her lab. She doesn't want to be in a throne room. Okay. Mary writes, have any directors ever made $3 billion films in a row before? Russo's could with Avengers 4. $3 billion films in a row. I don't think so. I don't think any one director's ever done that before.
What about, what's his name?
George Lucas?
Or George Lucas.
No,
I was thinking of the Batman guy.
Batman guy? Christopher Nolan?
Yeah. Nolan.
No, I don't think so.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, it might be the first time. Might be the first time if that happens. That's actually a really interesting theory. Bob's writes, now that we've seen Infinity War, any new theories on Avengers 4 set photos and maybe a title? I don't think we're going to get a title until probably well closer to the end of the year. I really don't think we're going to get a title till we get past like November or past September, I should say. Any more theories? My only theory is that the world continues on. I think we're going to start a few years after the events of Infinity War. And I think they're going to they've been working on a plan. And I think Shuri will be a part of it because she wants her brother back. They're going to work on a plan. Tony, Shuri, Bruce, working on a plan to somehow change the past. And it won't involve the time stone. We know that because they don't have it. And then we'll have to see. You got any theories out there or not so out there?
I would love to see Thanos on an island sipping a cocktail.
Mai Tai?
Yeah, just enjoying life as the omnipresent person.
All right. Adam Douglas writes, They skipped right over the total destruction of Xandar. Yes, they did. Convinced me more than ever now that will be shown when they eventually do a Nova origin movie. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely something you could do. You could. But yeah, it was funny that Xandar, this big, bright star of the galaxy, Xandar, that's protecting the one stone at the end, it just gets a reference. Thanos decimated Xandar and took the stone. I mean, it was just like that, and it was gone. So could that set something else up? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure there's a Nova origin movie there. I've never been convinced that they're going to do anything with Nova, to be honest with you. Whether they should or shouldn't is a different question altogether. I just don't really think they will. Dom's Vibranium Bicep writes, "Hey, Giovanni, the theater should have handed out Perrier to everyone at the end. Also, can we also just enjoy this moment? I think we will all remember where we were when this movie came out." I don't know. I mean, look, there are some people out there who are just like, this is the best movie ever. And that's great. I mean, I'm like that sometimes with some movies, and I get that. I love this movie. But again, for me, not in my top 3 MCU movies. I love it. I can talk about it all day. But it's not one of those films for me where I'll always remember where I was when I saw it. It is very impactful, though. Hugely impactful movie. I enjoyed it a great deal. But I don't know, Anne, like when you think about this, how do you think you'll be thinking about Infinity War like 4, 5, 10 years from now? Like, do you think you'll still be thinking back on it and like always remember the first time you saw it? Or?
I hope so, because I mean, it is, 10 years in the making, 19 movies later. I think it's a culmination of all the things. So I would like to think that, yes, in a few years from now, I can still remember the movie pretty well and talk to you guys about it in detail. There are other Marvel movies that I've watched once, and to be honest, I'm good with just watching them once. And so I don't think this is that movie for me. So yeah, I loved it.
All right, let's go on here now. Mason Barr writes, "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Campea. I've seen this film 4 times and I loved it. I want a hot toy or something of the shot where Thanos lands on Wakanda Rocket on his shoulder." Oh, you mean where Thor lands on Wakanda with Rabbit on his shoulder with Groot and New Amazing. That's got to be a hot toy. That shot of just Thor there with Rocket on his shoulder and teenage Groot, that would make a very expensive but wonderful hot toy. I haven't gone to Anne and asked for permission a lot for buying certain hot toys, but I think I may be going to her to ask, "Hey, honey, there's this $375 this toy from," and I think she might actually give me permission on a couple.
I think that there are a lot of movie moments that would make great hot toys. I think when Winter Soldier is holding Rocket and they're kind of like doing that, Rocket's like shooting and he's shooting. That would make a great hot toy, like on a spinning base would be cool. Yeah, there's just a lot of moments in that movie that would make great toys. The one hot toy, because you guys know I work for Hasbro, but the one hot toy I want John to invest in is the Thanos. The one we saw at the premiere that's like $700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing's pretty damn badass. Yes. And by the way, you mentioned the scene with Winter Soldier, Bucky, and Rocket. My favorite, bar none, favorite line of this movie is, I'm setting it up. "How much for the gun? Not for sale. How much for the arm?" Bucky says nothing, walks away, and then the best line of the movie, "Oh, I'm getting that arm." To me, I'm getting that arm. Best line of the movie.
Wait, but my other favorite line, though, is also from Rocket when Peter is going on about how he's going to try to get serious about losing weight. And he's like, "I'm going to get a Bowflex. I'm going to get some barbells." And then you hear just Rocket say, "You can't eat barbells, right?"
I didn't even notice that line until our 3rd screening of it. Because for me, it's always, "Come on, Quill, you're like one sandwich away from being fat." And then you got Drax going,
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the 3rd screen says, "You can't eat barbells."
Yeah.
That was funny. That was great. Okay, Anthony R. writes, "Thor should just settle on Wakanda and rebuild Asgard there. The Wakandans are probably going to bow to him anyway after what he did." Oh, no way. Wakanda is never putting a foreigner on the throne.
No.
They don't even like foreigners setting foot in their country.
Yeah.
Let alone letting, forget somebody from another country, somebody from another
Blood
planet.
relation, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no way.
They don't want that.
No way Wakanda. Like I said, it's either going to be Shuri or
M'Baku.
M'Baku. I keep on mixing up M'Baku and Wakabi, and I want to say M'Kabi. I keep on wanting to say M'Kabi. But no, I mean, he's got to settle in the Netherlands. That's where he was, right? He was in Iceland.
Yeah.
And that's where the Norse gods need to be. That's where he's going to settle them down for sure. Let's see. Next one. Jack Francie just puts in a super chat. Thanks a lot, Jack.
Thank you.
Mary writes, Ben and Jerry should make those Stark and Hulk flavors.
You know I thought that when they said that in the movie. It's got to be coming.
Okay, everybody knows. My addiction is ice cream. I love ice cream. But Anne also likes her ice cream. And like when they were first talking about those Ben and Jerry flavors, it was like a 7-year-old child looking at her first doll. The smile on Anne's face when they started talking about these ice cream flavors was like pure joy. Pure joy was on your face.
I love that scene with Doctor Strange and what's the friend's name? Wong. And how he didn't have any money.
Yeah,
and
I've got 200 rupees.
It's like a tuna melt would sound great right now.
I wouldn't say no to a tuna melt.
Just a little banter's great.
Love Wong.
Yeah.
I love that he got to play a significant role in the first part of the
too.
film there. I love that. Okay. Let's see. Maya Demi writes, how awesome was Strange/Stark banter? Love those two.
Yep.
And Star-Lord, who am I supposed to say? Jesus? Who is your master? Who do you serve? Who am I supposed to say? Jesus? Meeting on Titan was the funniest. That was a great line. And you're right. The banter between Stark and Doctor Strange. It's like, what do? Protect your reality, douchebag.
I think Strange got the best of those banters. What do you think?
I do too. I think he got the best of the exchanges.
Yeah.
And I think it was really like, what did he say? I can't believe you did this. And he goes, I can't believe you're leaning on the cauldron of the cosmos, and then slaps him.
Yeah. Did you just say hitherto blah blah blah? And then he's
did you just seriously lean on the thing? Yes.
Yeah.
But I like that one line too. Did you seriously just say hitherto unknown? Or something? That was great. Their banter was fantastic. It really was good. But then again, Tony Stark's banter is always great. Even in the bad Iron Man movies, his banter always top notch. Really great top notch stuff. Okay, let's move on here. We are 1 hour and 15 minutes into it. We are not yet halfway through the questions.
Wow.
There is no way I'm not going to be able to do a companion video for this because I don't think there's any chance we're going to get through all the questions, guys. So I'm going to have to make a second video after this. But we've got like another hour to go. I'll go over 2 hours. At least another hour we're going to go here, guys.
Yeah, this is fun.
This is great. I'm having a great time doing this. Okay. Sam Fisher writes, I love this movie. By the way, baby, just let me know whenever you need to take a bathroom break or something.
Oh, it's okay. I already went.
Oh, you went. Okay, so you're good to go. Okay. Sam Fisher writes, I loved this movie. I thought it was perfect balance. Everyone got the amount of time needed, and it felt like no one was over or underused. Oh, I'll agree half and disagree half. Was it balanced? Yes, it was perfectly balanced. It was balanced, though, on everybody was underused. I mean, it was perfectly balanced across the board. Every character had their moment to shine, like even Sam and War Machine and Mantis. And like they all had their moments, right? But they were all underused. I mean, really, they were. But it was all underused in great, perfect balance. And it was spread out pretty evenly. It was spread thin, but it was spread perfectly evenly. And that is a real testament to how good of a job Kevin Feige, the Russo brothers, the producers, how good of a job they did making sure it was still balanced. So yes, it was thin balanced, but balanced nonetheless. And I completely agree with you on that. Did you feel like anybody was completely ignored? Did you feel like everybody got their moment?
We didn't really see much of Black Widow, I think.
Oh, I don't know. Like her, first of all, her moment when, first of all, the opening fight when she first shows up to protect Vision, there's that. And then that whole moment with, we don't want to kill you, but we will.
Yeah.
And then that whole thing, like when she's about to kill Scarlet Witch, she goes, she's not alone. And the camera pans up and there's Black Widow. I don't know. I think she had some pretty big poster moments.
It was peppered in there, I think. But I think just a lot more characters. They had to be more useful and more camera time in this movie. I think the story warranted them to have more camera time because I think some of the characters, they're there to fight, but they didn't have much more than that to be involved in. So why spend the camera time on them?
All right, let's move on here. Aliyah Abdel Gawad writes, no Led Zeppelin when Thor kicks ass. Oh, that would have been great, though. If they played the immigrant song. Oh, my God. Now I'm getting chills thinking about when Thor showed up in Wakanda. That would have been awesome. Why didn't they do that? Now I'm flabbergasted. Why didn't they do that? Although the big orchestral grand music that played when he did it was also very good.
I think it was a little more in line with the rest of the film.
With the rest of the film, yes.
Because if you look at the soundtrack, there's only 2 songs that were listed in the end credits. So I don't think they were really planned. I mean, they had the Wakanda theme only, I think, because they were entering the world.
Right.
So I guess they wanted to establish that. But otherwise, I didn't think
it was all score.
It was
consistent, but you're right. That would have been awesome. Anyway, I didn't finish reading your question. Thor said half people survived and no Valkyrie. If she had to help with the evacuation in Avengers 4, maybe we'll see her. I do think she got away. I think Korg got away. I think Meek got away, and maybe we see them pop up in Avengers 4. Okay, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from also Sam Fisher, who writes, the plot point of trying to destroy the Mind Stone, them succeeding, and then Thanos using the Time Stone to reverse it was perfect. Made it feel hopeless. Yeah. Like, I remember something was wrong when she destroys the stone, and Thanos didn't look too torn up about it. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought, oh, that's it, they won!
I think he didn't even have to go that far.
Yeah.
So I think at that point, there was no beating Thanos at that point. I think that they had a chance when maybe he only had the Power Stone, the very first stone in the gauntlet. But at that point, he knows he had everything that you need to figure out what the game plan was.
Yeah. And Thor still almost took him out with Stormbreaker.
Should have went for the thumb.
Should have went for the thumb. That's got to be a new t-shirt. Should have went for the thumb.
Not the head, the thumb.
The thumb. Let's see. Matthew Pratt writes, I like how Hulk was scared to come out after getting his arse kicked for the first time by Thanos. It has to come back to play in Avengers 4. Absolutely agree. We've been talking about that in this episode already. I thought it was a really nice little bit of character building. Honestly, it's the only piece of character building this movie did. Other than Thanos himself, was a little bit of character building with Hulk. And I think you're absolutely right. That's not a coincidence. I think they got something very big planned for Hulk in Avengers 4, and I can't wait to see it. Okay, Mary writes in, Thor holding back his tears as he realized he had nothing left to lose got me in the feels. He always carries on the fight. And you know, I was talking, it might have been Ray or Ryan, I can't remember which of them, but was saying something along the lines of, you know, but Thor doesn't come across that smart. I'm like, well, being the hyper-intelligent one, that's Tony's thing, that's Bruce's thing. Thor is about honor and courage and leading and doing what is right. I mean, that's his thing. And that scene and carrying it on as he's evolved as a character in the MCU, culminating in Ragnarok, you know, he's very jovial too. He's become a very jovial character, which is great.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the jovialness of Thor Ragnarok, that scene where he's sitting there in the ship talking to Rocket and the cracks showing in him emotionally and him trying to keep a smile on his face while tears are starting to come out of his eyes, it was perfect because of Thor Ragnarok. The Thor we got in Thor Ragnarok is what made that scene so potent and so powerful. And it is one of the best. I put it on par with Peter's I don't want to go, I don't want to go. That scene with Thor and that scene with Peter, so emotionally satisfying as a viewer. It was little scenes like that that gave this movie some depth. Really, Thor refusing to come out. Hulk refusing to come out. Thor thinking about the loss that he suffered. Peter dying at the end. It's these little bits here and there. There's not a whole lot of depth to this movie outside of Thanos, and Thanos brings a lot of depth. But it's little moments like that that really give more dimension to this film and that I absolutely love. So yeah, we've already talked about the scene, Mary, but my God, that scene is just fantastic. Manuel Fernandez writes, I think Iron Spider suit was justified its use when given the situation, and he still felt like his own character. He'd have died if he didn't have the suit, came up with the idea to kill Ebony Maw, and held his own against Thanos. Well, he didn't really hold his own against Thanos. I mean, Doctor Strange opened portals for him to slip in some sucker shots on Thanos. Then Thanos finally had enough and threw him to the ground. I just feel like I still don't like the Iron Spider suit. I think you could have done all that kind of stuff. I think they just wrote the scenes in such a way to highlight the Iron Spider suit. I don't think the Iron Spider suit was necessary for the story. I think they wrote their scenes specifically to highlight and show off the Iron Man Jr. suit. That's how I feel about it. But the character's great. The character's great. You and I have never really talked about the Iron Man Jr. suit. Like, I for one am not happy about the fact that Spider-Man isn't cool enough, apparently. He's got to have an Iron Man suit. But so that always kind of bugs me a little bit because I love the character and I love Tom Holland portraying Peter. I love Peter. I just don't like the fact that he's wearing the suit. How did you feel about it?
I mean, I love the scene when he got it because that was really funny when he's like, oh, it smells like a new car in here.
It's got new car smell, yeah.
But I mean, I can see what you're saying. Now that you're saying that, maybe they did write it to highlight all the cool features of the suit. I mean, it didn't bother me either way. I think as a, what is he, 16? Something like
16 or 17,
teenage kid, like I do feel like he still needs to have that spandex handmade suit. But he is Tony Stark's friend, so he's going to have all the things that he wants and needs. So.
All right. Charleston T writes, best MCU film since Civil War. Maybe. I mean, Black Panther, I might put Black Panther above it. I'm not sure, though. It's close. It's real close. But I think there could be a real argument to be made for best MCU movie since Civil War. How would you compare it to Black Panther?
Oh, it's tough. I know. I'm like, I did say at the beginning, Black Panther's still up there as my number 1, 2 with the first Thor. So I guess it's slightly not as good as Black Panther, but I have to see both of them
again. It really depends. They're such different movies, too, because Black Panther, let's call it what it is. The action in Infinity War is way better than the action in Black Panther.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that. But there's more story, I feel like, in Black Panther. You have character development.
I think
you have world building.
Exactly that point. You know, you're introducing new characters, and then more so the world itself was just all brand new for us. So I think that's why Black Panther edges out Infinity War just a little bit.
So I guess it all depends. If you really go in more looking for the action stuff, then Infinity War is going to be the better movie to you. Mm-hmm. If you go in more looking for more story and development stuff, Black Panther is probably going to be the better. Either way, you win. There's no wrong answer here. They're both spectacular movies, so there's no wrong answer. All right, Sam Fisher writes, that ending, I was stunned and speechless. It was the perfect ending to this movie and makes the stakes and anticipation for Avengers that much higher. First of all, I will agree with you again, Sam, for half of it. The ending's fantastic. It's a fantastic thing. Does it increase the stakes for Avengers 4? Not to me. It's a great ending, but great in other ways. I didn't feel like it increased the stakes for Avengers 4 because, again, they killed off a bunch of people that you already know they're just going to bring back to life. If anything, for me, it actually lessened the stakes a little bit. Does not take away that the ending's magnificent. And it's fun. And I was like, wow, like I couldn't believe what they were doing and so surprising. But I will disagree on increasing the stakes because when you kill off 2 characters in particular, like, hey, Bucky maybe comes back, maybe he doesn't. Scarlet Witch maybe comes back, maybe she doesn't. All that kind of, but you know they're going to do another Black Panther movie. And we already have an announced second Spider-Man movie. So to me, I don't think that increases the stakes. I actually think that takes away from it a little bit. Alia writes, was neutral regarding Captain Marvel, now so excited. New to the MCU because of Black Panther and intrigued why she is powerful enough against Thanos. Love this. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are very excited now. And a lot of people, their exposure to anything about Captain Marvel was the whole beeper thing at the end with, by the way, how perfect was that end credit scene? The end credit scene is great. Having Maria in there and having Sam Jackson in it and having them both die and getting off this old beeper that's from the era of the 80s because we know that's where Captain Marvel takes place. Happens like, were you surprised? I had no idea what they were going to do at the end credit. I was actually surprised to see Samuel Jackson in the end credits because I didn't think he was going to be in the movie at all. Like, so how did it hit you?
I didn't. Okay, so I didn't know who was going to be in the end credit scene, but I knew what the context of the end credit scene was due to where I work. So
right. Of course, I keep forgetting about that. You know all this stuff.
So I was just more interested to see how that scene played out. Yes.
All right.
And a lot of people didn't even know that was alluding to Captain Marvel.
Oh no, because they only showed like the symbol. A lot of people had no idea what the symbol meant. So a lot of people were still going, "What was that?" Because we heard a lot of people even talking coming out of the theaters. What was that? Like all that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right. Mason Barr writes. By the way, thanks for the birthday wish yesterday, John. Took my two-year-old to see Infinity War.
Aww.
One of those 4 times she kept telling me to shush. What did you think of the Hulk being afraid? Crap, it bugs me to an extent. Oh, I think it made great sense. I think the easy thing to do is just keep Hulk one-dimensional. No, he's Hulk smash. They actually gave some real emotional depth to Hulk. He's just gotten beat for the first time. I loved it. And speaking of you taking your 2-year-old, when Ray and I went to go see it on opening night, we ended up sitting beside this dude and his like 7-year-old son. And the 7-year-old son is great. And you got to understand, Ray, who does all the graphics for my show and is Ann's brother, he is a 7-year-old in many ways. So Ray instantly first of all, Ray makes friends with everybody everywhere he goes. So Ray instantly starts making friends with the 7-year-old kid. Hey man, who's your favorite? And the little kid goes, Thanos. And Ray's like, what? You get out of here, right? But he's talking to this kid, and we're talking to the dad and the kid's all excited to see the movie. But oh my God, when Spider-Man died, the kid literally crawled into his dad's jacket and was crying. I'm really curious, Mason, like how did your daughter react to all these characters dying? Like I had some people writing to me before the movie came out saying, do you think this will be a movie that I can take my kid to? And I'm thinking, yeah, of course. It's a Marvel mill. It'll have some dark elements to it, but it'll be
I don't know anymore.
Loki getting his neck snapped.
Right in the beginning.
Vision having his head ripped out.
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Idris Elba getting stabbed.
I mean, we don't have kids, but I'm just thinking like all the scenes that, the dad throwing his daughter off the cliff.
Yeah. Daddy, you can do that to me. That's what happens if you don't clean your room, Sarah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's too much. Even it was too much for me.
All right. Let's see here. Next up, Manuel Fernandez writes. Actually, is this the next one? Okay, yes. Manuel Fernandez writes, am I crazy or is Doctor Strange giving Thanos the time stone the 1 out of 14,600,005 possible futures where they beat Thanos? Oh, no, I think that's implied. I think that is implied because, look, he doesn't just give over the stone. He says to Tony, like, we're in the end game now. And then the final words he says was, there was no other way. Clearly, I believe the implication here is that he gave him the stone because that was the only path out of the 14.5 million possibilities. That was the only possible path to them ultimately winning was him getting the stone. And it's horrible and it's terrible, but it was the only way. It's what had to be done. Adam Douglas writes, only Loki is dead. Gamora's soul is in the Soul Stone. Vision's body is gone, but his mind is the Mind Stone. When they get destroyed, they will return. We all know our powered toast heroes are coming back. Well, here's the thing. I really hope you're wrong. Not because I don't love Gamora, I do. But you killed her in an emotional, powerful, narrative-propelling scene. You undo that. It takes everything away from that scene if you just bring her back. Vision, he's dead. Remember, Bruce, he's not the stone. The stone's just one part of him. He is Ultron, and he's Jarvis, and he's Bruce, and he's Tony, and then he's his own personality that's involved. He's far more than just the stone. So I really hope they don't. Look, we already know they're going to bring Spider-Man back, and they're going to probably bring Bucky. They're going to bring everybody back who got dusted. I feel pretty confident about that. But if you bring all them back and bring back the people that died before that, then why not bring back Heimdall? Why not bring back Loki? Why not bring back everybody? I mean, it has always been the one bane of the MCU is fate killing everybody. So-and-so died. Oh, no, he's not dead. I mean, I really hope they don't do that. But I don't know. What do you think let's just stick this to Gamora. Do you think they're going to bring Gamora back?
I don't know. I think they are, but I don't want them to for the very reasons that you just said.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. Sam Fisher throws in here. I don't think Thanos could have been any better. He was a lot like Killmonger. He had valid points, but went about it the wrong way. Overpopulation is a big problem. And see, a lot of the thing with, look, Killmonger did have some valid points, but ultimately he just wanted power. That's really what it came down to. He wanted power and take vengeance on the world. Thanos saw himself as completely noble. And that's why guys like Maw and others saw him as completely noble. You know, when Maw's handing him the Tesseract saying, no other being has had the power, nay, the nobility to wield not one, but two Infinity Stones. I mean, that's why they look at him that way. I agree with you 100% on this one, Sam. You couldn't have done Thanos any better. You could not have done him any better. Honey, I've been saying for the last couple of days on the show that I believe, bar none, that Thanos is the best villain the MCU has ever had. Do you concur with that?
I would have said a week ago before we saw Infinity War that Killmonger was my favorite and the best villain that they've ever done. And now, yes, absolutely, Thanos is the best. I think that they just took him just a step further than they did with Killmonger in terms of the depth of the character, and that solidified it for me.
The whole killing his own daughter thing,
yeah.
Realizing that he does love, and that pained him to do that. And the fact, after he snapped his fingers, the fact that the very first thing we see after the snap of the fingers is just him having a vision of his daughter.
Yeah.
And the line, great, was she says, what did it cost? And it goes back to him, and he says, it's not just the word, it's the way he said it. Everything.
So he goes through that, and then just after that scene, he gets that moment, right, where he gets to watch the sunset or sunrise or whatever?
Yeah.
But the look on his face was, if you guys didn't catch it at the last viewing that you saw, the next one, look at his face. It's a half smile smirk.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. It's exactly the way I wanted to see his face before the end credits.
All right, next one comes to us from Anthony Ashmask, who writes, moments when I shat my pants, Hulk versus Thanos, Thor, Rocket, and Groot arriving in Wakanda, Gamora's death, when Iron Man gets stabbed and everything after the finger snap. The ending floored me. So many highlight moments. You know, I'm a big sports guy. I watch ESPN, all that kind of stuff. You guys know that. But it's like this movie was a collection of highlight reels. It's like this. It was a movie of highlight reels. Because all the things you're mentioning, the Hulk versus, like the moment that Loki says, we have a Hulk. I just about lost it because it's like, yes, and the Hulk coming in. You knew, look, they had to establish right off the beginning of the movie that Thanos, more than anybody else we've ever come across, is to be feared. And the best way to do that is have him right off the bat of the movie go one-on-one with the Hulk and beat the Hulk. Something that's never been done in the MCU before. So they had to have that. So right from that moment, Gamora's death, the appearance of Red Skull, the arrival of Thor and Rocket and Groot in Wakanda. I mean, the snapping of the fingers. I mean, we could just sit here all day and list them off. It is a movie of highlight reel moments. And it's just astonishing when you think of it in those terms. TF writes, the only hero to get a clap and cheer from the audience was Cap when he first appeared. Best line was, I am Steve Rogers. Yep. I mean, well, in the theaters we were in, we just heard a number of the characters get big applauses, right? Who are some of the ones you remember getting a good reaction from the audience?
God, I think the reaction to Iron Man putting on his suit in that beginning scene, I think there was a clap just for that.
Oh,
the
yeah,
fact
there
that
was.
It was kind of badass how he put that on. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who
Well,
else?
definitely Captain's appearance coming out of those shadows. Like that to me was
absolutely.
the best revelation. The Guardians, as soon as it shows out of space and it says space, I mean that was great. That got a good reaction from everybody. Oh gosh, yeah, there was a number of good ones, but that Cap one, that's a good one for people to react to.
Yeah.
All right. The Kosan writes, maybe one of my favorite scenes, Cap appears out of the dark to save Wakanda, to save Wanda's and Vision's ass. So badass. I mean, that's the thing. Captain America, I don't care what anybody else does or says in the MCU. Captain America, to me, is the archetype hero. He is the hero. He is the ultimate hero. And just the way he goes, we don't trade lives. I mean, he's all about ethics. He's all about doing the right thing. And he's got the muscle to back it up because he goes toe-to-toe with almost every one of the Black Order. He goes one-on-one with Thanos and gets in his licks without some Iron Man suit on. He just goes in there mano-a-mano with Thanos. And after Thanos has 5 of the 6 stones, and he gets in there and fights one-on-one with Thanos and lands some pretty big punches on him. I mean, he's Captain America, man. That's why I'm always Captain America. By the way, this movie should end the Civil War debate about should you have been Team Iron Man or Team Captain America? Because after Civil War came out, I said even by the end of Civil War, Tony Stark is realizing Captain was right. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, we can't work for these guys. Mm-hmm. And then it just finishes off in this movie when the biggest backer of Iron Man, who was Rhodey, even Rhodey finally goes, you know what? I realized this was a mistake. I never should have signed those Sokovia Accords. So let this movie end the debate about Civil War, about who was right, Iron Man or Captain America. Let this end the debate. There's not even Iron Man or Rhodey are on Iron Man's side anymore. No. So let's just settle that right now. Sam Fisher writes, Strange got a lot more time than I thought he would, and Red Skull was a pleasant surprise. I also really, really like Peter Dinklage. Best line, Peter Dinklage. That's going to kill you, boy. Or no, he goes, you're going to die, boy. And he goes, only if it kills me. Yes, that's what I mean. I mean, only Peter Dinklage could deliver a line like that. But you mentioned you didn't even know he was going to be in it. So what was your reaction like when Peter Dinklage first showed up?
I love Peter Dinklage. I love seeing him in anything. And the fact that he plays this giant dwarf, is that the correct term for his character?
Sure, yeah, they call themselves dwarves.
It was perfect. It was a perfect casting. And my brother was saying, and I agree with him, that he has that one of those epic voices to where when he introduces, this is Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker.
It's like, whoa. Like, wow. Yes. Just needed his voice throughout the movie.
Now, you got Peter Dinklage, who can boast, I am one of the stars of one of the biggest television shows in television history, and I'm one of the stars of one of the biggest movies in movie history. It's going to be a great little trivia question on that someday. AFC writes, Anne.
Yes.
Can John have permission to get the Thanos hot toy?
I just said I gave you permission a few minutes ago when I said I want to get that thing. It's probably $700, I think, though.
I'll look into that. KW Garrett writes, why didn't Thanos die of internal bleeding after the finger snap? Didn't he get impaled by Thor's axe, or did he time reverse the axe hit? Well, I'm wondering if with the reality stone, if he just healed himself.
Well, I asked you that, right? The third time we watched it, I leaned over and I said, could you see if he still had the
big mark there
or not? And they didn't pan down enough.
The big Stormbreaker shaped hole in his chest.
I mean, I think a number of things could have happened and the other thing that crossed my mind is, did he know that was coming? So then he had prepared himself to heal before he escaped. I don't know. I don't know how much
I don't think he knew it was coming, because I think it caught him and the audience off guard. The full power of the gauntlet with all the stones in it blasting at Thor, and Stormbreaker is cutting through it like butter, like nothing. Like Thanos didn't even slow Stormbreaker down before it hit him. So I'm guessing reality stone to heal his wounds. I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point,
sure.
But it's certainly worth a discussion. Let's see. ZOMG Ruler writes, is Captain Marvel going to gather the Dragon Balls? No, that would be an interesting crossover, wouldn't it? Goku's going to show up. He's going to join the Avengers. And Peter from Deadpool 2. That's going to be how they defeat Thanos. Dominic Toretto, Goku, and Peter from Deadpool 2 is going to show up.
Speaking of crossovers, I had a really good one.
What's that?
Star Wars and Marvel. Because I feel like when he snaps his finger, somebody needs to then cut in Luke Skywalker dissipating into the air.
See you next time.
Like it's
See
the
you around.
same movie.
It's gonna happen someday, unfortunately. Okay, let's move on here. Sam Fisher writes, did Strange apologizing to Tony mean that they played out the one scenario where the Avengers won? Yeah, we've already gone over that. I do believe so. Because he did set it up. He said, we're in the end game. This was the only way. Only, as in 1 out of 14,600,005. This was the only way. So yeah, I believe that was what he was alluding to. Anthony R. writes, Ross Marquand's Red Skull was spot on. I was convinced it was Weaving. Does Weaving hate the character that much that he had to recast? Oh, Weaving doesn't hate the character. He just hated the process. He just hated doing it. And I think he really hated the whole process he had to go through. Because from what I understand, it is hell. Like 7 hours in a chair, getting prosthetics and makeup applied to you and all that kind of stuff, and then doing that for months. From what I understand, it's not that he hated the character, and it's not that he hated the movie. He just didn't want to play that again. So, and you're right. At first, I'm looking at him, I was like, that looks like it's Hugo Weaving under that makeup. But it wasn't, and you're right. They did a great job. They did a great job with him. Sam Fisher writes, with almost everyone dead, I think Clint, Scott, and Hope are going to be the major players in Avengers 4 because Scott and Hope weren't in it at all. I agree. I agree that Ant-Man, unless Wasp disappears at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I think Ant-Man and Hawkeye are going to be significant players, along with Iron Man, Captain America, you know, and I think Hulk and all the survivors will. But you're right. I think Hawkeye and Ant-Man will be major players in that. How do you think? Or do you think there'll just be secondary characters?
I mean, a crazy thought crossed my mind that what if the characters that survived in this one are going to end up being the ones that are insignificant in 4?
Yeah.
Which would be very interesting to kind of highlight all the people who we think are dead now. But I don't know. I have no idea. I hope so, because I wanted Ant-Man to be in this movie and he wasn't.
Yeah, me too. I thought for sure he was going to be in it. I was saying, well, we know he's in the movie, so I don't know why he's not in the marketing. Turns out he wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, he was there. He was at the press. He was at the press, all the, little
Yep, he did a lot of the press tour and
all
everything.
That stuff,
yeah.
but nothing.
Anthony writes, that shot of Thor yelling, bring me Thanos, then literally going full God mode, God of Thunder mode, crazy in Wakanda gave me a stroke. It was incredible. It was a great scene. ZOMG Ruler writes, which death shocked you the most? Spidey for me. Well, again, like I was mentioning earlier, the Spider-Man scene was great, but it didn't shock me at all because he's not dead. You know he's not dead. We've got Spider-Man 2 coming in a couple of years. In 2019, we got Spider-Man 2. So he ain't dead. It's another fake death. So that didn't really. So to me, it's the Gamora one. To me, it was Gamora. That was one. But we've already covered that ground. Sam writes, well, I think we will get everyone back because of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Spider 2, and the obvious Black Panther sequel. I don't think we will get Gamora back because she didn't die in the snap. I completely agree. That's where I'm at as well. I think me and Ray agree on this. I don't know about you, Ann, but I think everybody who died in the movie prior to the dusting, the snap, I think they're all dead. That includes Vision. I think Vision, Gamora, Heimdall, Loki, I think they're gone. I think the rest of them do come back, but I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to have Gamora. I don't think do you think any of the pre-snap dead people are coming back?
I partly think Gamora, only because I just don't want to see Guardians without Gamora, but I could see them replacing that seat, or maybe not even putting somebody else in that position. I just feel like it's an incomplete group without Gamora, and to that point, I feel like they might figure out a way to bring her back. I hope not.
Yeah,
I really hope not.
I mean, I love her, but if you killed her, then you killed her.
Yeah.
And like I said, it would totally neuter the power of that scene if they just brought her back now. Junkari P writes, ending deaths didn't have any impact or weight. It's obvious that most, if not all of them, are going to come back. I agree to a degree. it still had impact. I mean, like, look, we all know Spider-Man's coming back, but the power of that scene, him holding on to Tony Stark and saying, I don't want to go, like a scared kid, was still powerful. Yes, it was undercut by the fact that you know he's coming back. Yes, but I don't think that completely neutered it. Like, I still think that even though we know he's coming back and that takes away from the shock value of it or the stakes of it, I still think there's that emotional impact of the scene that made it very, very powerful. And so, you know, and just that moment of, hey, we know Black Panther is going to have a sequel, but just, I was shocked. Again, like I said, when he comes around that corner, he's going to help Okoye up. I thought she was going to disappear, and he does instead. That was shocking, but I don't think it takes away all the power from the rest of that stuff. Caleb Bradford writes, Thanos versus Doctor Strange was one of the best fights in the movie. It was so awesome. Oh, it was awesome. It was so fantastic. One of the best one-on-one confrontations. The Captain Thanos one was short, but I dug it. The Iron Man Thanos one was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to like in there. What was some of your, like, just favorite confrontations in the
just
movie?
one-on-one?
Yeah.
Or, oh, God, I do
or
like the
even if
Doctor
it was
Strange
two-on-one
one.
or whatever.
I love how Doctor Strange multiplies. That scene was just visually stunning. But I do like that particular battle against Thanos because they almost had the gauntlet. Like, Peter had it.
Star-Lord.
It was like that far off his hand. It was almost there. So I think I did like how they all worked together. They each kind of used their expertise to get to that point. If it wasn't for Star-Lord.
You're losing his temper. All right. Let's see here. Sam writes, the one thing that bothers me is that in Ragnarok, Thor loses his eye, but then he gets a new one halfway through Infinity War. So why did he lose it in Ragnarok? Well, I mean, well, why did this happen? Because that's what happened. I think it set something up that he took major battle damage against his sister. And instead of just a scratch, he lost an eye. But we know in Guardians of the Galaxy, things like cybernetic eye implants and all that stuff is out there. So it really made sense that they gave him the eye back. Well, then why didn't Odin put his own eye back? Maybe because that's part of what made Odin Odin. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure. By the way, another really funny line. Man, you really should have watched that. The only way I could sneak it out was by sticking it up and then the line gets cut off. That was really funny too. So it didn't bother me at all. To me, it didn't bother me at all. If it was on Earth, bothers me. In space, when we've already seen tons of people with cybernetic eyes and limbs and all that kind of stuff, made perfect sense to me. It's kind of easy that all he had to do was just open up his eye hole and pop it in and it worked. That was a little bit weird, but hey, this movie had too much going on, didn't have time to do anything the right way. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Curtis Lopez, who writes, I remember everyone in the theater had their heads down when Star-Lord's effed up. Like, oh my God, what are you doing? I mean, we all felt it in our theater, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it, though. I mean, he's just finding out about his girlfriend being murdered.
The love of his life.
But, God, did it have to happen at that moment?
I mean, and then, you know, there's an argument to be made, too, that, okay, let's say he didn't do that. And they get the glove off his hand. He's still Thanos.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he ain't going to get it back.
And they didn't have Stormbreaker. I mean, they could have maybe held him down for a bit, but I don't know that they would have defeated him.
Yeah, so maybe they would have defeated him without the glove, but maybe he just gets the glove back. But you're right. You're just like, ah, Peter, you idiot.
But how would you have reacted, though? I feel like that's exactly what I would have thought of Peter.
Oh, yeah.
In that character.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Some other characters might have been able to hold their own emotionally during that scene, but I feel like Peter reacted exactly the way he should have.
And look, forget us. Let's take a look at some of the other characters. Let's say it was Peter that was trying to pull the glove off, and Iron Man was Tony was in his face, and then Pepper. Tony just found out that Pepper just got killed as a result of something that Thanos did. What would Tony have done? He would have lost it.
Yep, same thing.
So, I mean, because we already saw Tony do that when it's like, look, you know Bucky was brainwashed. It wasn't him that did it. I don't care. And he still went after him, right? So seriously, he would have done the same thing. Don't pretend Tony would have done the same thing because he would have done the same thing that Peter did. All right. Next one. Mary writes, James Gunn never lies. No Star-Lord on Earth. Also, your thoughts about Team Iron Man not uniting with the others in this film was spot on. Let me try this again. No Star-Lord on Earth. Yeah, I got that. Also, your thoughts about Team Iron Man not uniting with the others in this film. Oh, was spot on. About like, the group that was on Titan never ended up back on Earth for them all uniting for one big thing. Yeah, I've heard some people say to me that the one disappointing thing to them was that in the midst of this movie, you never had all of the heroes all together. But the way the story was structured, you couldn't have that. I mean, you couldn't have had it. You needed them broken up and in different locations and in different spots, doing different things, taking care of different parts of the story. So that had to happen. So yeah, I was totally fine with it. Were you okay with the fact that we never got that whole big Avengers Assemble moment?
I think they put the right characters together. So
Right.
I think I did get the satisfaction in seeing the right people come together. We never saw Iron Man and Captain America together.
They never even spoke to each other.
So that was the one I was waiting for and didn't happen.
Tony was about to call him, but then got interrupted because the alien ship showed
Yeah.
up. So they didn't, not only did they not have any scenes together, they didn't even speak to each other in the movie.
That would be the one.
All right, let's see here. Sam writes, the trailers for this thing had so many red herrings, from CGing the stones out to that first shot of Tony from trailer 1 being at the end of the movie. Well, again, they didn't CG out the stones. That shot wasn't even in the movie at all. So it wasn't a CG. Watch the movie again. That specific shot of the overhead, the over-the-shoulder shot from Thanos' point of view and Cap like this, and you see 2 stones missing, that's not CGI'd out. That's not even in the movie at all. That, the Hulk stuff, yeah, they did. They went through a lot of effort to try to do some misdirect. Anthony writes, Battle on Titan was one of the best fight scenes in the MCU, especially Strange versus Thanos when he gets multiple arms and when Iron Man goes one-on-one against Thanos and then stabs at the end. Yeah, powerful scene. And that's a great scene. I still say pure action scenes. I still take the airport scene in Civil War. The airport scene where all the heroes are fighting each other, that's still my favorite single action scene in any MCU movie. Curtis Lopez writes, but on top of that, I get what went through Quill's head. Poor dude went through a lot. Oh, obviously he didn't. And Ann and I just talked about that. And Tony would have done the same thing. Vision, if he found out that Wanda was just killed by Thanos, Vision would have done the same thing. I mean, so let's not blame Peter too much, but we all felt it, right? We were all pissed off at Star-Lord at that moment, for sure. Simon John Rose writes, Ant-Man 2 ends with one of them turning to ash. Well, we were speculating about that a little bit. We see Ant-Man in the set pictures of Avengers 4. So I doubt it's Ant-Man. Could it be Wasp? Possible. Because Wasp getting dusted gives great motivation for Ant-Man. And it also gives great motivation for her father, right? The original Ant-Man, who is one of the best scientific minds in the universe. And he's the one, you know what? Remember I said that Shuri, Bruce, and Tony got to figure out time travel? Who's the most brilliant out of them? It's her dad. It's Michael Douglas's character. He's the one who's been studying the quantum realm. And that probably the secret of time travel is in there. So I think you're going to see Michael Douglas's character play a really significant role in that one. So, honey, I'm saying if any of the two, between Ant-Man or Wasp, dust, I think it's going to be Wasp. Do you agree, or do you think it could be Paul Rudd?
No, I agree. I think it's going to be Wasp, and for that exact reason, the motivation that's behind her getting dusted, which is our new term for that, I guess. Yeah. I think it makes sense. And then I think, is it Hank?
Yeah.
Is the father's name?
Yeah.
Yes. Gosh, I feel like Hank, Shuri, who else did you say? Tony?
And Bruce. And
then maybe even a little of Strange for the kind of historical...
Strange dead.
Oh, God, I forget. Damn it. Okay, them four have to figure it out then.
All right, Sam writes, the people on either side of me gasped at Loki's death, and we all audibly gasped at the snap and when everyone turned to ash. I didn't hear a lot of gasping when Loki died, just because I think everybody knew Loki was going to die. Like, you remember I made that video, the odds of each one of the top 25 characters and their odds of dying? By far, the number one was Loki. We all knew he was going to die, and he was going to die in that opening scene. The biggest gasp in my theater was Tony getting stabbed. Like, that was the one with the big shrieks and all that kind of stuff. Honey, can I have you do me a favor?
Yeah.
My voice is starting to go. Can I get you to fill me up? Give me a refill on this? Sorry, guys. We've been at this for almost 2 hours, and my voice is starting to go. Big ice cube and yeah, some Zevia. Thank you. So I'm going to do this without Ann for a few minutes here. Let's see. Next one up comes to us from Ben Rayner. And Ben Rayner writes, was it a mistake for them to announce Spider-Man 2 before Infinity War? I don't know how you would have not. You know, they made the big Sony Marvel deal. In retrospect, yeah, it's probably a mistake, but I don't know how you would have kept that a secret up to this point. Like with all the scrutiny the Marvel and Sony deal had for allowing Spider-Man to be in the MCU for a couple of films, I don't know how they would have kept that one under wraps. I really don't. In retrospect, would it be better that we didn't know? Maybe. Really, the better thing is don't have Spider-Man dust out, because that just like if any of them, if T'Challa gets dusted, there's a little bit of doubt. Like, well, wait a minute. We all thought we were going to get Black Panther 2, but are we? When they dusted Peter, already knowing that another movie was coming, that made it 100% certain that that's going to get undone. So maybe it's not so much that they shouldn't have announced Spider-Man 2. Maybe they just shouldn't have had Peter dust. Maybe they just shouldn't have had Peter die. Because if Peter doesn't die, the guy who we know has a sequel coming, then maybe we still wonder a little bit if all the other characters who got dusted are actually dead, including Black Panther. But by including Peter in the list of characters that dies, it takes all the mystery away. So I don't think the answer is that they needed to not announce Spider-Man Homecoming 2. I think the thing is that they needed to not kill off Peter. Because then maybe everybody else still would have been a question mark. That's just the way I'm thinking about it. All right. Ben Davis writes, John, you're a Canadian treasure. Thank you so much, Ben. Did some of Peter Quill's actions feel out of character to you? I absolutely adore this movie, but felt some of his actions were a bit off. Oh, no, I disagree completely. I thought he was very much in character. From his temper tantrum to his struggle with whether or not to shoot Gamora to all that kind of stuff. I gotta, it would be interesting to have a discussion with you about this, Ben, because I would be interested in knowing in what way did you think he was out of character? Because maybe you could point some things out to me that I'm not thinking about. But off the top of my head, I actually thought almost everything that Peter did in this movie was pretty much on point and was consistent with his character. At least that's what I thought. But then again, maybe you could point some things out to me that I'm not thinking of that made me go, oh yeah. But off the top of my head, I thought he acted very consistent with his character. Sam writes, I love how Loki said, we have a... Oh, I love that. That was a perfect line. We have a Hulk. Boom! And he comes in there. Was perfectly set up. Anthony, where am I go? Anthony R. writes, I found it funny how they killed off the new players and left the original Avengers. Obviously, they're coming back, but it's still funny. Well, remember, the original, Nick Fury, he got dusted. We don't know. I'm assuming Hawkeye doesn't die, but Hawkeye could have died. Wasp may have died. They lost a lot of characters, man. A lot of characters. But you're right. You're going into Avengers 4, you got to have Iron Man, you got to have Captain America. You could have done and by the way, they didn't kill off Rhodey. He didn't really become an Avenger until Ultron. So they didn't kill him off. They didn't kill off a Rocket, so Rocket's still there. So there's a bunch of the quote-unquote new characters that did not get killed off. Thank you so much, honey.
This seems to be wasted here.
What? Oh, I forgot about that. Go ahead, take it. And I forgot. I put something on the floor here to use.
I'm using it.
And I totally forgot to use it. So Anne is now stepping up as she gets back into her chair and swings her mic back in place. And there we go. Oh, she's got it.
Sorry, people. It's over.
Activate it. You just pull the hand. Just pull the finger. That's it. It's over now. I totally forgot I had that sitting here. Anne loves that glove. I think Anne loves that glove more than I do. Okay, guys. We are now over 2 hours. And we are only halfway through the questions.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to keep pushing here. Anne and I are supposed to go see Stomp tonight. What are you trying?
I didn't do it.
Are you trying to do the shocker? Is that what you're doing?
On its own.
It just did the shocker on its own. Is that what happened? It just did the thing has a mind of its own. It was thinking shocker. Is the purple one the shocker stone? Is that what it is? Okay. So we've got to go see Stomp tonight, so we can't go too much longer, but we're going to keep rolling here, even though we said it was only going to be 2 hours. Let's see. Curtis Lopez writes, you should have aimed for the head. Snap. Damn. Yeah. You should have aimed for the head. Terrifying. Because that was another moment that when we saw Stormbreaker get him, I thought, that's it. We won. Just like when I thought when Scarlet Witch blew up Thanos or blew up Vision, I thought, that's it. We won. So they caught me a couple times on that. Big Four Dam and Alfie Gamer writes, hey, John and Ann, I watched it 2 hours ago. I'm shattered. That ending. Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Black Panther turned to dust. What's happening? Head exploded. And again, if we didn't know that Spider-Man 2 was coming, maybe it would have had a bigger impact. But it was still, oh my God. Like a huge, big, oh my God moment for absolute certain. Zombatron, 5678 writes, it's official, the Defenders aren't in the MCU. The alien attack happened literally right before their homes, and none of them help, yet Spider-Man does. But look, it's what I've been saying all along. They are in the MCU, technically. But I've been saying for years, guys, they are keeping them completely separate. So I remember when this was coming up, nobody's been saying it the last few months, thankfully, but like even up to a year ago, I remember having arguments with these people who were just insisting Daredevil's going to show up in Avengers 3. Daredevil showing up, and Luke Cage is going to be there, and Punisher's going to show up, and they're all going to help him. I said, no, they're not. They're not. And sure enough, they didn't. They don't show up for it. And they're keeping them separate. And I believe they will reference the events of Infinity War in the Netflix universe. We've already covered this. But that's the extent of it. I think it'll be referenced, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of practical implications about it. So there's going to be just enough reference to still say, we're all in the MCU. But practically speaking, it's really not. Let's see. Christian Ailman writes, all the OG Avengers still alive. Well, yeah, a lot of other people mentioning that as well. Christian Ailman writes, wrong use, time zone. Wong uses time zone to reset events. Well, except Wong doesn't have the time stone.
Yeah.
Can you think, are they thinking of something else or?
There's no other time stone, and I'm pretty sure it's on Thanos' hand right now.
Yeah, there's only one Eye of Agamotto, and Wong doesn't have it.
No.
So.
I wish.
Unless.
From an alternate time or something?
No, what if, Avengers 4 starts with them confronting Thanos again, and this time they beat a weakened Thanos, get the time stone to Wong, and then the rest of the movie is about trying to reset time.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's possible.
Yep.
I don't think so.
Well, the stones are still active, right? Like,
I think
if
so.
they grab hold of them,
Maybe.
I don't think they were destroyed. They were still on the glove.
So now we got a year of speculation over Avengers 4 that we get to think about.
Yep.
Let's see. Hans Gruber writes, I did not like the humor in Ragnarok, but loved everything with Thor in the Infinity War movie. Thor, Cap, and Iron Man are my new VIPs. Hopes for Thor 4. I'm sorry that you didn't like the humor in Ragnarok. I loved it. And so I'm really sorry that you didn't. I wish you enjoyed it more. But hey, all film's subjective. Didn't work for you. That's totally fine. It worked gangbusters for me. I had a great time with Thor Ragnarok. And the humor to me totally worked. And again, let me reemphasize something I said earlier. If it wasn't for Thor Ragnarok and the jovialness of Thor Ragnarok, that scene that Thor has later on in Infinity War with him and Rocket talking and him talking about all the stuff he's lost, that is amplified by the fact that we just came off this Ragnarok movie. I loved it. Personally, like, what do you think of Ragnarok? Like, did the humor bother you, or did you love it, or what did you think?
I loved Ragnarok, and I think that's partly because we're aware of Taika Waititi's work before Ragnarok, and just knew that he was going to put his personality into the movie. So I personally liked it, but that's not the first time I've heard people didn't enjoy it because they just either didn't get the humor, or it was too much humor, too over the top. So I get what you're saying, but for me, I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Okay, KW Garrett writes, Infinity War violated your key pet peeve. All post-snap deaths were fake deaths, so felt empty to me. Honestly, who thinks Spider-Man is dead? Otherwise, great movie. Yeah, I mean, again, look, no movie is perfect. And again, I still remember when the Russos and Kevin Feige saying, oh, this next Avengers movie, when people are dead, they stay dead. Lies. Lies. Liar, liar, pants on fire. But yeah, it did mitigate that, but yeah, it's unfortunate. And I just hope that they limit the fake deaths to the dusting. If they bring back Gamora, if they bring back Vision, oh my God, if they bring back Loki for a 19th time, or Heimdall or whatever, then I don't know. I really hope, I'll be very disappointed. I'm not going to sit here and say, I won't watch any more MCU movies. No, but I'll be really disappointed. I'll be very disappointed if they do. Zombitron5678 writes, figured out where Valkyrie could be. At the end of Thor, you see the Grandmaster ship on their big one, but the end credit scene and Infinity War show no ship. Yeah, they do show the ship. I'm pretty sure. I think. Could be wrong about that. Maybe you're onto something, Zombitron. Maybe you're... What do you guys think? Do you guys notice anything like that? Jump into the comments so people know what you're thinking. Better ending, Sunset, Last Jedi, or Infinity War? I'll go Infinity War. And you know what? I've gone on record. I think I'm a big Star Wars guy, but I like Infinity War more than The Last Jedi. And I really like The Last Jedi. Problems notwithstanding, I really like The Last Jedi, but I liked Infinity War more. I think I enjoyed this film more. What about you, honey? I know you loved Last Jedi, but which did you prefer, Last Jedi or Infinity War?
God, I think Infinity War, but the scene that he didn't throw in there was Killmonger also has a sunset.
Oh yeah, there's another big sunset scene. That's right, with Killmonger.
That was kind of emotional too. I don't know.
Okay, let's try on here. Caleb Bradford asks a very important question. I have a question. Why is Gamora?
I have one better. Who is Gamora?
Yeah, I mean,
we haven't talked about Drax at all, really.
Well, I mean, Drax, again, had his moments to shine. That one scene when Gamora and Star-Lord kiss, and there's Drax, I've become basically invisible. That was a great scene. How long have you been
standing there? For 1 hour.
For an hour. But my movement is so slow. I'm imperceivable. No, we can see you. Hi, Drax. And Drax had his way, and he got in a number of shots on Thanos too in the big fight scene at the end. But honestly, Drax was one of my big complaints about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was Drax had no action scenes.
Yeah.
He's Drax the Destroyer.
Yep.
Genetically put together to kill Thanos. And he had no action scenes other than the opening credits scene. After that, he's involved in no action scenes. And then in this, like all the characters were basically underused. I understand that, but I really felt like Drax was underused. I thought they're making him they're using him for comic relief.
Yeah.
And that's fine as long as you're still doing the other things that you should be doing with Drax the Destroyer. But they seem to be getting away from that, and I wish they weren't. Starman writes, new opening weekend record. Oops, my camera just went out. Sorry, guys. New opening weekend record with 250 million. By the way, stabbing never kills. Well, we talked about this on Open Mic today. As far as the opening weekend record goes, don't get ahead of yourself just yet. That's the Sunday estimates. The Sunday estimate was 250 million. Monday is when the actual report comes out. Now, here's the thing. 99% of the time, there's no difference. Because the difference between the estimates on Sunday and the actuals on Monday are like 1 to 3%. It makes no difference. So that's why the Sunday box office report, 99% of the time, is the box office report. Because there's only 1 to 3% difference. So that means when like A Quiet Place makes $50 million in opening weekend, 1% difference is only $500,000. It doesn't change anything. However, with an estimate of $250 million, that means it's separated from The Force Awakens by less than 1%. So tomorrow, if there is a 1 to 3% difference and it goes down by 1%, it doesn't break the record. If it goes up, it does break the record. So we're gonna kind of have to wait to see tomorrow now. So if it could go up 2 or 3%, it could end up with 255 million. It could end up with 256 million. Or it could go the other way 1%. It could end up with 245 million, 247 million. If that's the case, then The Force Awakens still has the record for opening weekend box office. Either way, Disney wins. Because they're both Disney films, so Disney doesn't give a crap which one wins. But either way, a Disney film's going to win. But look, we've all said this is going to be razor sharp close. And it's coming right down to the wire. It's a photo finish. We'll find out for sure tomorrow. As of right now, Infinity War is like $2.1 million over the Force Awakens record, which is less than 1%. We'll find out tomorrow. And so, like I said, normally the estimates work out, and the estimates could go up. So we could see Infinity War ended up with $255, $260 million at the box office, or it could go down like 1%. Either way, we got to wait for tomorrow to find out for sure. But whichever way it goes, it's razor close. Kevin Brown writes, where can you guess Captain Marvel fits into the MCU after Infinity War? Help me out. I know nothing about her. Well, it's important to understand this, that Captain Marvel, the movie coming out, takes place in the 1980s. So much like Wonder Woman was, it's happening in its own isolated pocket of time. So it's going to be very separate, other than the fact that we're going to get Nick Fury and Agent Coulson are both going to be in there, which I'm very excited about. I think that's great. So Nick Fury is going to be one of the big characters in there. That's why at the end of Infinity War, in the post-credit scene, Nick Fury pulls out the Captain Marvel beeper. So he's reaching out to Captain Marvel, who apparently has been dormant since the 80s. We'll find out more a little bit later. But where she fits into it after that movie, don't know. The Captain Marvel movie will tell us, really, I think, what her role in Avengers 4 is going to be. But until that happens, we're just not sure. What are you kind of looking forward to out of Captain Marvel? What are you hoping to see out of that?
So I can't say what I know and what I don't know.
This is one of those situations where you know everything, isn't it?
Although, okay, so for those not familiar with the comic, though, and who Captain Marvel is, she's strong. She's like DC Superman strong. So the fact that she's got kind of that type of power, I could see why she would be Nick Fury's, like, you know, on
last
the call.
resort.
Last resort. Let's get this girl back, you know. So that's all I can say. Sorry.
I keep forgetting, like, Ann often, which she can't talk to me about, and I never want her to tell me, but Ann comes home knowing all these things about Marvel and all these things about Star Wars and everything, and I don't ask her about them. Okay, let's go on here. Next one comes to us from Eric Wahlberg, who writes, to end the movie in such an unexpected and devastating fashion was fantastic. That long, slow crawl of heroes turning to ash was heart-wrenching and masterful. I cried all 3 times I watched Spider-Man die. Kudos, Russos. And look, yes, that's what I was saying a little bit earlier, right? You understand that a little bit of it is undercut by the fact that you know a lot of these characters, if not all of them, are coming back. It was still executed so well and so beautifully and heart-wrenchingly. And it was capped off with the death of Spider-Man. Sort of. I mean, I believe Doctor Strange died after Spider-Man, I think.
He did.
But, I mean, it was just so beautifully put together and beautifully done. You could feel the emotion in the theater. Like, you could feel it, right, in the theater when that was all going down?
Oh, yeah. Tom Holland, if you weren't already in tears, Tom Holland's performance in that last scene was... yeah, it would bring you to tears. I thought he did such a good job.
All right, next one comes to us from Jerome Lim, who writes, how surprised were you to see Red Skull, Ross Marquand? I hope he shows up again in future movies. He's an excellent villain. Again, like I was explaining earlier, that was the first time in the movie. A lot of great stuff happening in the movie. I'm like, yeah. But Red Skull showing up, like jaw drop. That was my big jaw drop moment. That was the first time that I turned to Ann when we were sitting there going, that's Red Skull.
And he also has a catalog or like a list of everybody else who's tried to get to the Soul Stone.
Yes.
I'm sure Loki's on that list, but you know what I mean? Like, he kind of knows who else was trying to gun for it.
And I loved his voice.
Yeah.
Welcome, Thanos.
Yeah.
And welcome, Gamora, daughter of Thanos. Just the way he said Thanos and everything. I am cursed with knowledge. I mean, he was great. And I don't know if they're ever going to use Red Skull again. Clearly, he has no purpose on that world anymore now that the Soul Stone's been taken. It will be interesting to see if he comes back into the MCU at this point or if he doesn't. And if he does, what kind of new powers does he have? I mean, just a lot of question marks about that. Let's see here. Gareth Tucson writes, the shot where Thanos looks at the sunset, then cut to black was great. Had emotional weight and physical presence. Best villain since The Dark Knight. I said in my non-spoiler review, I said Thanos is clearly the best villain the MCU's ever had. And I think there is a discussion to be had that may be the best overall comic book movie villain ever. That includes Heath Ledger. I'm not saying definitively Thanos was better than the Joker, but I'm saying it's so good. We never thought there would be a serious discussion about, does anybody challenge Heath Ledger's Joker as the greatest villain in a comic book movie? I'm here to tell you right now, you got to have a legit discussion about it. Maybe Heath Ledger's Joker still comes out on top. I don't know. But there is a legit discussion to be had here. It was perfect. And Gareth, this whole thing you're pointing out, the end of this movie is to me why I say without question, this is not just half of a movie. This was a complete movie. It's just that the bad guy won instead of the good guys. But in every single way, this is a full, complete 3-act structure movie with a conclusion. And yes, like every other movie in the MCU, the next chapter will pick it up. But that's true with every movie in the MCU. But that ending was perfect. It was an absolute perfect ending. Thanos, because remember, Doctor Strange asked Thanos, I'll destroy half the life in the universe, blah, blah, blah. And Doctor Strange says, then what? Then I'll rest, and watch a sunset over a grateful universe. And then that's what it ended with. It all came to fruition for Thanos. It was a great ending. I loved it. Honey, did you like the ending, or were you kind of like, what? Like how did you? I loved it, but what did you think about the ending of it?
No, I thought it was perfect, and I think you said it a few times during us sitting here. Is that if they just called it Avengers Thanos' story or something, it's a movie in itself. If you're just following Thanos' story the entire time, so the fact that it ends with him as well, and kind of in his glory and having accomplished what he set out to do, yeah, I think it was a perfect ending.
All right. Puneet writes, they edited so much in the trailers, including none of the stones in the gauntlet with a scene in Cap. Again, that was never even in the movie. The run-up scene, etc. You were wrong about that, GC. Anyway, what an effing great movie. Love the ending. I teared up watching Spidey. Again, I wasn't wrong, because that shot was never even in the movie. They didn't just edit it for the trailer. It was a shot that's not even in the movie. Go back and watch for that specific shot. I should have had a picture out here about that, but that's not in the movie. The Hulk running with him scene isn't in the movie. I think there are a couple of other things not in the movie as well. But again, it was a part of their coordinated effort to try to keep everything as secret and under wraps as possible. Kevin Brown writes, Game of Thrones, Red Wedding, The Force Awakens, Game of Thrones, Winds of Winter. Now time to add Avengers Infinity War to the list of cinema that left me absolutely awestruck and speechless. I mean, yes. Again, though, I'll reemphasize, a little bit of it is taken away because all those characters are coming back. But still, the Gamora scene, oh my God. I just floored about the Gamora scene. Vision, twice getting killed. Heartbreaking, dying at the hands of Scarlet Witch, and then having to die at the hands of Thanos. So twice he dies. Then again, all the dustings at the... here's the thing. If you watch the Red Wedding scene in Game of Thrones, but knew in 3 episodes all those characters come back, the Red Wedding scene doesn't seem as impactful. The Red Wedding episode isn't all that big. It's still great, but it's not all that big of a deal. That's how I feel a little bit about the ending of the movie, because they're all coming back, so... It's powerful, it's beautifully constructed, it's well laid out. Peter dying, I don't want to go, it's beautiful, it's emotional, it's wonderful. It just, to me, it lacks some of the oomph it could have had if we didn't know these guys were dying. Again, honey, I think you were downstairs getting my drink. But one of the things that I said, somebody was just asking as you were leaving, do you think they made a mistake by announcing Spider-Man Homecoming 2? I said, I don't think the mistake was announcing Spider-Man Homecoming 2. There was no way to keep that secret. I think they made a mistake by killing off Peter. Because if you didn't kill off Peter, then you would wonder if all the people that got dusted might actually be dead. Yeah, Black Panther was so successful, but they haven't announced a Black Panther 2. So if they just didn't kill Peter, you wonder, maybe Scarlet Witch is dead. Maybe Bucky is dead. Maybe T'Challa is dead. Maybe Groot is dead. I said the mistake was killing off Peter, because by killing off Peter, you go, well, now we know they're all coming back because they've already announced. What do you think? Do you think the bigger mistake was announcing Spider-Man 2 Or do you think the mistake was just killing off Peter in the first place?
I'm struggling just with this debate in general, and I guess maybe I might be alone in this, is that, number one, everyone was debating who's going to die in this movie leading up to the movie, and now they killed off all these characters, killed off. And now I guess it's because we know they're coming back. And it's all, the other thing that keeps running through my mind is we live in a time where we know what movies are coming out and that contracts are signed and how many deals people have. And so it kind of sours this experience I think that people are having. But I still think it was impactful. So I know it's kind of veering away from the question you asked me. I don't think either one was wrong. I think it's a business, so you announce when you're going to have a movie. But sure, they could have not killed Peter. But I also think all of the comments that we're getting are that the Peter death was the most impactful, emotional to a lot of people. So I think they did the right thing with both.
Okay, guys. I'm going to cut this thing off at 2.5 hours. So we got about 6 minutes left here. And then all the questions that came in after, don't worry, guys. I'm going to make an Infinity War spoiler discussion part 2 video. I will do a part 2 video that I will pre-record, and I'll put that up probably tomorrow sometime. So all the live questions that you guys sent in will get answered. It's just that we've already gone almost a half hour over. We're getting close to 2.5 hours. We're getting close to the actual runtime of Avengers Infinity War.
That's how long we should go, is the runtime of Infinity War.
Yeah, we should go
240.
So we got a few minutes left here. ZCM Zombie Custom Maps writes, so tell us why you think Thanos is as good as Heath Ledger's Joker. Again, don't misquote me. I said I think there's a discussion to be had, but the reasons being is this is a far deeper character. The character itself is a far deeper character. Heath Ledger's Joker is just a madman who wanted to watch the world burn. He believed in chaos and all that kind of stuff. There's no emotional depth to the character. It was just pure madness, right? And that's how the Joker was, and it's great. And before Thanos, probably the greatest comic book movie villain of all time. Maybe it still is. But Thanos was such a deeper character, far deeper, who was driven by a conviction, but also driven by this idea of nobility and being a savior to people that he loved Gamora, yet killed her anyway. He was powerful, yet not all powerful. He took his licks, he took his beatings, he took his loss. Remember, the Black Order wasn't just the Black Order. He called them children of Thanos. He referred to them as his children. He lost them. They died. He killed his own daughter, Gamora. Thor just came that close to killing him. Apparently, Nebula nearly killed him at one point, too. They showed he had connection with some of the characters. Like when we thought Gamora killed Thanos, but turns out it was all an illusion. But Gamora broke down and wept and cried. It was all these things that are not present at all in Heath Ledger's Joker. There were other things about Heath Ledger's Joker that made that character remarkably brilliant, and up until this point, undisputedly, was the greatest villainous character in any comic book movie of all time. Up till this point, it was undisputed. And maybe it still is. I'm just saying it's not undisputed anymore. The depth of this character, the number of dimensions to this character, is something that I just don't think we've ever seen before in a comic book movie. I just don't think we've ever seen it before. And so for that reasons and many others, I believe Thanos deserves to be in that discussion. And again, maybe at the end of the day, we ultimately still think Heath Ledger's Joker may still be the best character. But I don't think you can just say that's undisputed anymore. I think you have to say Thanos deserves to have a discussion with that. Maybe he's better, maybe he's not, but the discussion at least has to be had. C-Spice writes, Thor calling Rocket a rabbit and Rocket and Bucky. I laughed harder every time he referred to Rocket as Rabbit. Because if I read that in the script, I probably would have thought, okay, guys, you've done it like 3 times now. It's getting tired. But in the movie, to me, it got funnier every time. What did you think about that gag?
No, I loved it too. I think it's exactly Thor, is the fact that he called him Rabbit and Groot Tree. And then also... Rocket's reaction to it was great as well, because Rocket already has heard it from other people, Trash Panda, whatever else he's been called, so this is just another one to add to that.
Yeah, it was actually that's true. That's a good observation that he never corrects Thor.
No, he's just like,
It's
whatever. Yeah.
It's like, rabbit. That's the only time. The first time he calls him rabbit, he goes, rabbit. I mean, I don't. He probably doesn't even know what a rabbit is at that point. So that's okay too, I guess. All right, guys. Last question of the day, and then once again, guys. Thank you for all the questions you sent in. I will get around to all the rest of them. They're just going to have to be in a separate video because my voice is just about gone here. The final question today comes to us from Lord of Thunder, Prince of Stars, who writes, I bought my Mjolnir replica and they had to take it during the movie because it's a weapon. Haha. Anyways, where are the surviving Asgardians? 10 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, they don't, it's totally understandable. They don't let people bring props into these movies anymore. And I get why. I totally get why, and I'm all for it. They don't let you wear full masks or full face paint, and I get that too. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality, and I get that. So yes, I would have told you if you and I were going to the movie together, I would have said, hey man, they're not going to let you bring the hammer in. Because Ann wanted to bring the gauntlet. Ann wanted to bring the gauntlet. She so badly wanted to bring that gauntlet. And I'm like, honey, they're not going to let us bring the gauntlet in there. Which is fine. But where are the surviving Asgardians? I don't know. That's a good question. Where'd they go? Because if they didn't go straight to Earth, which is where they were heading, where did they go? And for all I know, maybe they did end up on Earth. Maybe they did end up there. Maybe it just took them a lot longer. Maybe they're in a slower ship. They were galaxies away. So maybe it's just going to take them time to get there. Maybe when we get into Avengers 4, we find out that Asgard does arrive on Earth. And they get there and Thor sets them up in Iceland. And maybe that's where Avengers 4 picks up, that we're there. So yeah. All right, guys. 2.5 hours later, we are wrapping up our Avengers Infinity War open spoiler discussion. Once again, I will put up a part 2 of this video. It'll be pre-recorded, not live, because I'm going to do a part 2 of this video to make sure I answer all the rest of the questions that got sent in here. So I will copy and paste them all over to a document. Don't worry, guys. They will get answered. I want to thank the lovely, my wife, Ann Campea, for being here, Ann. Ann, thanks so much for doing this with me.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. I love this movie. I love the fact that we can talk for 2.5 hours and still feel like
we're just
there's
scratching
so
the
much
surface.
more to talk about. So this was fun. Thanks for having me.
If people wanted to follow you on Twitter and on Instagram, because you're very active on Instagram and Twitter, where can people follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me by my first and last name. So it's AnnCampea, Ann Campea, on both.
And you guys, of course, can just follow me on Twitter, simply at John Campea. All right, guys. Wow. I mean, I can't believe Ann is right. We've been at this for 2.5 hours, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface. I feel like we could easily go for another 2.5 hours, but alas, we've got to get ready to go to an event tonight. We're going to go see Stomp, and I will put up part 2 of this video. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. Keep the discussion going. Don't forget, we're back again tomorrow. The John Campea Show comes back on again tomorrow. And of course, Open Mic is on in the morning. I look forward to seeing you guys then. So until that time, my name's John Campea. Thanks for joining me. And until the next video, bye-bye.